Salutations, Legion of Doom. Welcome to Podcast, the storm where socially awkward outcasts, crazy weirdos, and all around nerds convene to talk and debate all things pop culture. With me, as always, is my co host, the Nerdy Occultist, aka the Authenticator, Dalton L. Mortimer.
Good evening, folks.
And I am your host / timeline wannabe, the Brainstorm of Pop Culture. How's everyone doing tonight?
I am doing mostly okay. And Brainstormer has a birthday tomorrow, which is why we're not doing the podcast tomorrow, presumably.
Yeah, and that was also the reason we did Friday last week as well, because another family member of mine had a birthday on the 9th, Saturday. So actually, like 3 family members of mine have birthdays in November.
That is interesting.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm gonna be 25.
And I feel old now. I feel very, very old.
And what are you, 32?
29 so far, thank you, and also fuck you.
Yeah, I know. But yeah, okay, so this week we're just going to be doing trailers because a lot of trailers came out within the week.
And there hasn't been really a lot to go over with regards to pop culture because most of the games journos and pop culture journos are too busy seething about the election results recently to continue be shitting on all of our favorite pop culture entities.
Although actually in pop culture wise, I can bring up something that came out a couple days ago on Amazon Prime, a show called Cross, which I believe is based on a book series called Cross of a detective in Washington D.C. called Alex Cross, who is played by Aldous Hodge, who's a pretty well-known actor. Most people
Is that a James Patterson franchise? I think that's a James Patterson franchise.
No.
Who is that then? Who does that series?
Hold on.
It's not
I'm
Tom
looking it up.
Clancy. Okay.
Oh no, it is. Okay. I was wrong. Well, there are two authors mentioned here: James Patterson and Richard Delalo. Alex Cross is a crime, mystery, and thriller novel series written by James Patterson. The protagonist of the series is Alex Cross, an African-American Metropolitan Police Department detective and father who counters threats to his family and to the city of Washington, D.C. I'm not gonna lie, it does have some commentary, but how the characters are, it's still told from like a very personal lens, like from the characters and stuff. Like the character story is what matters most.
I will say that I simply just don't care given that my first sort of job was in a library, I got very, very, very sick of Tom Clancy and James Patterson because in the rural ass, middle of nowhere Pennsylvania that I'm from, most of the people who went to the library didn't go to the library to read anything particularly interesting or edifying. It was mostly just James Patterson and Tom Clancy over and over and over and over and fucking again.
You done?
Yes, now I am done.
There. But Aldous Hodge, who I'm sure anyone who's in our kind of circle would know him as Hawkman from Black Adam.
Hmm.
He's been in some other stuff. He's a great actor, and it's cool that he's finally getting like a leading man role. I wish we could.
Yeah, the correct answer was for DC to continue along the lines of Black Adam and do a Justice Society like series, or maybe backdate it and do trilogies of the JSA. But we don't live in the world that makes sense. We live in the world where we all have to trust that James Gunn isn't going to completely shoot himself in the foot.
Right. But yeah, he's a great actor. I actually first saw him in the show called Leverage.
I remember that show existed. I never watched an episode of it. I just remember it like advertising on TV.
It's good. It's like a reverse heist show.
Hmm.
That's how it's pitched, I believe.
Interesting.
Yeah. So yeah, we're just gonna do trailers this week. So I'm not gonna lie, this might be kind of a short stream, depending what we have to say.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let me get the. Oh wait, hold on. Okay. Yeah, just taking a minute to load there. Right, share audio. There we go. We're going to be talking about the official trailer for Captain America Brave New World.
And before we kick off, I just want to say that I could not conceivably care less.
No, I and just for the record, it's the reason why we don't really care for this movie is not because Captain America is now a black man, whatever fucking bullshit buzzword salad.
Yeah. The issue the first is Falcon is already a character in his own right, and he should have stayed Falcon. Issue the second is that Captain America should not be a mantle at all. Issue the third, and I know Brainstormer disagrees with me on this, but if the person in question does not take the super soldier serum, it is kind of farcical to call them Captain America. Issue the fourth is that Falcon and the Winter Soldier was so iconically bad that it's one of the main reasons why Brainstorm and I created our comic concept, The Lionhearted.
Right.
And issue the fifth is just that I don't want to use the cliche of who the fuck was this made for, but they have done absolutely nothing to make this in any way interesting. The sixth is this is also supposedly going to be a sequel to She-Hulk, which was also iconically bad to a little degree.
My reasonings. Most of them I do agree most with them what I said, like more so the latter, to be fair. Again, yeah, the third point we've had like endless debates on that.
Yeah.
Not gonna go here because I don't think it's entirely relevant. The issue I have, and I've watched this trailer, just so I have some. I mean, to be fair, I watched it like early in the week when it kind of came out the first day.
Mm-hmm.
So my memory's a little foggy, but it just feels like
empty.
kind of, but I'm trying to think of the other word here. It
Bland.
feels. Hold on. Empty was more on point than bland. Directionless. And by that, by what I mean of that is, for one thing, if no one watched Falcon and the Winter Soldier, because yeah, some people wouldn't watch that or watch it or whatever. Some ideas and stuff, and like if you don't watch the Disney Plus shows and only watch, the movie,
Movies.
this won't make any sense because it has concepts and ideas and references events and characters that had whole arcs and stories somewhere else. Now, granted, that could work if you still build it up, right? And not like what Marvel does constantly, just constantly build up, but reference it in a way that makes sense, that is natural for the characters to bring it up, and it doesn't feel like it's being shoehorned in, right?
And I'm gonna be slightly butthurt here for a second and say that I still think, and I've thought this for basically since Sam became quote unquote Captain America in the comics, the correct answer to picking up the legacy of Captain America would be if the Winter Soldier, aka Bucky, and Sam worked together to substitute for a lack of Steve. Having one or the other of them replace him, one, that's not Captain America. Two, part of what made Steve such a compelling character is his pure, innocent, decent heart, and Sam is way more street smart than Steve, which in this instance actually makes him a worse fit for the mantle because Captain America is supposed to be purer than driven snow, and Sam is way more of a cynic than Steve ever was. And again, I think this would work out better if it was a buddy cop movie between the Falcon, who doesn't need to take the mantle, and the Winter Soldier, who has his own fucking mantle as well. So, like,
Granted, that is with and again, it's weird because he was kind of trying to leave the Winter Soldier behind and had the code name of White Wolf. So that I think we brought that up in the review. It strikes me as odd that they never let him move past the Winter Soldier and go with White Wolf, like at the end where it says Captain America and the Winter Soldier.
yeah, it should have said Captain America and the White Wolf, maybe. Although again, I still don't like the idea of Sam taking Steve's mantle because he doesn't fit
I
it.
understand that, Don. I'm sorry for raising my voice. It's you are repeating
Yeah,
again.
it's just there's no reason to give Sam a new mantle when he's already the freaking Falcon.
Right. Say something else before we started. I know we haven't started the trailer yet, but I feel like we just gotta give a lot of prerequisite before.
The long and the short of it is this is a sequel to the two worst shows on Disney Plus, namely Falcon and the Winter Soldier and She-Hulk. And you would have an uphill battle to make something good out of those raw materials to begin with.
Right. Something
And
else.
yeah,
I'm trying to think of here. Sorry, I'm just I'm trying to figure out something else. I'm trying to something else I had. It's like eluding me right now. It'll come to me when we're watching it, I'm sure. So
okay.
I will say, no, I'll save my opinion as we move on. Let me full screen it.
Banana.
1 sec. Banana.
You asked for me. Here I am.
You want to help me?
Is there anything you remember?
Ladies and gentlemen, the President of the United States, Thaddeus Ross.
Well, this could
Oh, I
not
forgot.
conceivably go well.
To be fair, they had these ideas before anything. So I'm not gonna hold that against them.
I just, unless you literally are going to make him the villain and then like end the movie with him getting deposed or impeached or whatever.
Although, to be fair, Thaddeus Ross never. Well, I guess MCU wise, it makes sense because he started off a general, then he became senator, or no? What was he like when he was? He was working for the UN, I think, right?
And right here we have the problem. I don't want to. Again, I don't want to shit on this just on general principle because I just got, I just got done bitching at the Garys and the Maulers and the Nerdrotic, those sorts of people for shitting on Agatha for no reason. But, again, you either you find yourself in a situation where none of the work to make this make sense has been done, and certain aspects of the premise are likely to piss people off to begin with. And anyone who does know the background enough to know what this show is or what this movie is based on, namely She-Hulk and Falcon and the Winter Soldier, are probably not going to be enthused because those are probably the two worst MCU shows, full stop.
Mhm.
And that's
Um,
go ahead, sorry.
I will say, tone wise, it's better than the teaser.
There's
Kinda.
there's still nothing grabbing me, but then again,
No. It's
this
only
is very
20
much outside of my wheelhouse, so it would have a hard time grabbing me even if it was otherwise unblemished. And I can admit to that. Anyway, Banana.
I don't think I have anything else to say. Also, I forgot to turn on the captions, so.
Mhm.
And the audio is coming through, right? Like, fine.
Yeah, it's fine.
Okay.
Whatever this is, Cap, be careful. What do we know?
When is this coming out? It said that in the trailer just then, but it went by too quickly for me to read it.
February.
Okay. So they're making it come out for Black History Month. Fucking fabulous levels of pandering. God damn it.
It's weird. Like, I'm looking at some shots and they look good, and others look weird to me.
It just, again, not to be a dick, but it seems like no one in this production team gave a shit. It's so flat and bland and empty. And given that you're already, again, playing with a handicap, having to follow up She-Hulk and Falcon and the Winter Soldier with a Captain America that's going to piss a bunch of people off because most people know him as Falcon, I don't see a way or an avenue or I don't see how they can make this work. And in order to make this work, they would have had to have basically done work from the ground up to make people okay with this, and that work is simply not done. I suspect this will end up like the Marvels, if not worse.
So, I'll be fully honest, okay? Because with the Captain America movies, usually they're made to be like minus the first one, obviously, because that
Yeah,
obviously was more like
political thrillers. Yeah,
right,
in
which
general.
strikes me as like not your bread and butter.
Which again, I can admit to that. The last thing I was looking forward to vis-a-vis the MCU was Agatha All Along. Mercifully, the universe did me a solid on
Okay,
that one, and Agatha
so-
All Along was great. But
Okay,
until
so
they
hold on, hey,
announced,
hold on.
go
I
on.
get it. I get it. I just want to get my point across. While LaRusso's kind of okay, Winter Soldier's not bad. I like Winter Soldier. It's a good movie. But the political thriller was it could have been better. And with this, okay, because here's the how to word this. I'm trying to think how I can word this.
I think you're trying too hard to be polite about it.
When I'm just trying to articulate, you know how hard it is for me, like articulate my actual thoughts sometimes.
Mm.
And yeah, I am trying to be polite. Just after Endgame, the MCU had a chance, kind of not to start over, but to go in a very different direction. I guess what I'm saying is like do what they did with Phase 1 by getting a lot of more creative people in. And again, I realize the Marvel formula and all that shit. Wish they could get their heads out of their asses and realize that the formula is meant to be broken at some point and let someone actually be creative again in this fucking thing.
It's the base template, and most of the best MCU movies and MCU shows are good by virtue of what they add to the template.
Yeah, that's so what I was going to say was if you're because okay, again, I like political thrillers when they're done well, and again, my issue with like a lot of stories modern wise is they don't when they want to say something or want to have that kind of those talking points, the issue is they don't it's more so ask the questions than have answers. Have your audience find an answer for themselves. Then don't give them it. You can like talk about.
Sorry, go ahead.
Like you can talk about certain topics and stuff. I'm fine with that. The issue is don't preach, ask.
Also, don't spite your own audience.
Right.
That's,
Yeah.
you know, the spite and the contempt and the vindictive will make something intentionally bad so that they will hate on us for it thing is bullshit.
Right. So honestly, I'm just legitimately thinking who would be the best to like do this kind of iteration of Captain America, because it's honestly it feels like it is leaning a lot more towards like kind of the political thriller or some of that nature, even more so than Winter Soldier did.
Yeah, see, what I would have done with this, in addition to my statement earlier about how this should not be a Captain America movie, it should be a buddy movie between Falcon and
Bucky.
the Winter Soldier Bucky, trying to fill Steve's shoes, both knowing that they can't. But I would go almost like a combination of like Rush Hour and like Bad Boys. In
Okay,
Marvel's version of Rush Hour is what I think this should and could have been. And they completely failed.
I get your point, but still keeping in line with the political thriller thing, just because like I feel like it is not necessary, but a part of the MCU Captain America's stories. Not integral, but a part of it. So I feel that it has to be kept in some way. Which is why I was thinking maybe get some guys that worked on the Amazon Jack Ryan series.
I mean, I guess that could work, but honestly, I would do as much as you can to differentiate Sam from Steve. I would make his franchise as different from the Captain America franchise as possible so that people are focusing on what makes him unique rather than focusing on they're trying to fill Steve's shoes and sucking at it. And I think given that Anthony Mackie does have more cynical BLM-esque political views, rather than the purer than driven snow altruism that was the defining force of Steve's Captain America. I think leaning into the action movie style intrigue rather than the overt politicization would be a good way to let Sam's iteration of Captain America stand on his own 2 feet and make his own brand. Now, mind you, it's still kind of stupid because he already had his own brand. It was
Okay,
Falcon.
Dalton, we get it. We get it. Yeah. I understand your point. I still stand by my thing. Like, if you're gonna be playing like with like espionage or Black Ops or whatever that Sam as Captain America is doing, whatever that is, right?
Mhm.
Maybe get some people that worked on like Jack Ryan, because I like that show. It was a good show. Had a lot of
Another potential would be maybe get the guys who do John Wick or Nobody,
yeah, I could see that.
because one thing they're really good at is adding to the basic sort of assassin shoot 'em up story and giving it different kinds of flavor. And that is the one thing that this so far is really, really missing, is unique flavor that makes you want to watch it on its own terms.
Yeah, no, I see that, and I agree. Hmm.
Plus,
can see
wasn't Chad Stahelski the stunt coordinator on one of the was it Winter Soldier that he was the stunt coordinator? I think it was Shang-Chi actually, but
No,
they already have a
wasn't.
relationship with Marvel, is what I'm getting at.
He wasn't Shang-Chi.
What was he the freaking stunt coordinator on that was MCU? I can't remember.
I thought he was a stunt double for like Chris Evans.
I don't think so. I thought he was the like action scene coordinator in one of these. I just can't remember which one.
Either way,
Or was it David Leitch? Is that what I'm thinking of?
either way,
Banana. Yeah.
no, I was gonna say something. Fucking hell, I had it. Yeah, okay, so yeah, I agree. Like the action that the guys who do like they have their own company now. I just can't remember the name of it. But like Bullet Train,
Nobody, Atomic Blonde, the pseudo John Wicks.
yeah. And again, I feel like those guys would be good directors for the movie, and I feel writing wise, again, like someone who wrote like some of the best episodes of Jack Ryan.
Also, speaking of this kind of show, Reacher, the Alan Ritchson version.
Right, yeah. Or I don't know if you've heard of the movie because it came out like maybe a couple months back on Netflix. Rebel Ridge, maybe.
No, I have no idea.
Well, the guy who is the star in that is going to be Jon Stewart in the DCU. So
Okay, that's a choice, I suppose. I I really want DC to do well, and I want to be able to root for James Gunn
okay,
because he made
what is the problem there with what I mentioned?
nothing. It's just it seems like a weird casting choice is all.
Why?
But it just it just seems weird, especially knowing that they're gonna do that Green Lantern show as like a um cop show instead of leaning into the more cosmic aspects of it. It's
To be
just
fair,
another case of a lot of James Gunn's um
okay, I'm
decisions
just
seem to
okay.
be made
I don't know
by
where
the
the
seat of his
casting.
pants.
I'm not sure how the casting is a problem given how the show is. Like I'm thrown for a loop there just because because for one thing you're not. I assume you're not well known of the actor, obviously.
Well, that's part of the problem. This casting complete unknowns for things
What?
a bit of a problem for DC.
What?
Yeah, because they don't utilize people's reputations well enough, and DC needs to start fucking doing that because they have no other cards to play right now. They have to rebuild it from the ground up because they were too stupid not to keep with the soft reboot they had going. But they need an angle, and James Gunn can pull a few miracles out of his ass maybe, but if we're seriously building the entire DCU on James Gunn's abilities to pull counterintuitive miracles out of his ass, one of these times, one of those counterintuitive miracles is going to go bust, and we'll be fucked.
I feel like this is a weird impasse with us, so I'm not gonna prod it because we'll be here for hours, I'm sure.
Anyway, Banana, for God's sake, we spent more time talking about the context of the movie than we have actually talking about the trailer.
Yeah, well, to be fair, there's really nothing of note going on so far.
And like I was saying earlier, the last thing that I had any stake in the MCU was Agatha All Along, and Agatha All Along was great, and don't believe the haters. But until we figure out what they're doing with Blade finally, or until Sam Raimi announces Doctor Strange 3, or we get follow up on something like Agatha or something like Werewolf by Night, and like maybe do like Midnight Suns or something. Like until we either get the weirder side of Cosmic again, which I don't know how they're gonna pull off without James Gunn, because Taika Waititi sure as fuck isn't gonna be able to step into those shoes, or until we get to the weirder side of mystical stuff again. I don't. None of the currently announced projects, not just failed to interest me, but all the currently announced projects seem to not really appeal to much of anyone, which is fucked. Anyway, but Banana.
Yep.
No.
There were 5 shooters. This was a coordinated terrorist attack, sir.
I was a wartime general. Now I'm a wartime president. Your inner circle's been compromised. Let me fix it. Watch yourself. You're not Steve Rogers. You're right. I'm not.
That I know you want that to be a triumph moment, Marvel, but you're really just emphasizing the thing everyone is either confused about or enraged about with regards to this movie. This is why you had to work really hard to make this concept work, because large sums of the audience are just going to go, "What? Why the fuck is this a Captain America movie then?" And trying to make General Ross look like the bad guy for emphasizing that he's not Steve Rogers doesn't actually make the audience automatically take Sam's side here. And by the way, I really, really, really hope they don't turn President Ross into a surrogate for Trump, because I can already kind of feel it heading that way, and I hate it.
Again, this all just feels too. I'm just not feeling anything, to be honest.
The only thing I'm feeling is worry, because I'm worried that they're going to go the full
Alright.
we have contempt for the audience route, and that's never a good sign.
Yeah. Alright, Also, it feels weirdly placed, to be fully honest. This feels like something that's put at the end before the title in the trailer. Like the title the title card.
Oh, I see what you mean in terms of like the way the trailer's edited. Okay. I was confused there for a second.
Oh, did I say it? Did I say it in like a weird way, like confusing way?
You must have done, because at first I was thinking like, put this scene at the end of the movie. What the hell? And
No.
it was like,
Yeah, I didn't mean the movie. I meant like weirdly placed in the trailer.
okay, because yeah, that took me a second to figure out you were talking about the trailer editing. Okay, but anyway,
Well, they might have done that in the teaser one, I think. So
either way, even the trailer edit. You're right, because it is a really weird place to put, because that does, even insofar as I dislike it because it sounds like it's trying to be confrontational toward the audience. It does sound like an end of trailer, mic drop badass line, or it seems like that's what they were trying to go for, and yet it's where the trailer kind of starts, which is weird.
yeah. All right. Shall we?
Banana.
Wait for it. We're on the brink of war. I can't trust anyone.
It was Falcon's buddy from Falcon and the Winter Soldier, who in the comics actually does become the second Falcon.
Okay, I guess good on you for remembering that, because I had no idea that character was even important.
But it's a low blow, but a lot of the CGI scenes, like even the ones that are set outside, look bad, like cheap. And again, I'm not going to fault the owners for that, because oftentimes they are highly overworked. And like,
yeah, they basically work in sweatshop conditions some of the time.
Yeah, and outrageous deadlines. Like, so
Yeah.
If from what I understand, it's not even like the CGI itself; it's the rendering that.
Yeah, it's not the CGI artist's fault that it looks like crap, but it is yet another mark against the movie of it straight up looks like you haven't finished the movie. And it's not the case where the trailer should be undone or the CGI should be unfinished, because they've pushed back this movie 2 or 3 times and reshot it 2 or 3 times. So most of the rendering for an early trailer like this one should be done already. And if this is the peak of the render, then that doesn't fill me with hope.
Right. I mean, again, one can make the argument, because it's like it's still the trailer and the movie comes out in February, that these are like early renders. However, that's usually never the case, to be fully honest.
Also, that's only 4 months. Usually when trailers like that come out where the CGI is unfinished, it's like 6 months to a year out before the thing actually comes out. But they have 4 months to fix this. And by the way, basic production 101 here. If you know you need a scene for the trailer, you need to prioritize rendering those scenes first. You see how that works? So that way you at least give the illusion of being competent and finished with the work.
I'm sorry, but also, do like all the sets look very cheap looking? Is that me? Is that just me? Or?
No, it's not just you. It looks more like a TV show. At the moment.
Okay. The weird thing is like the Oval Office or the White House, like the actual interior of that looks fine, but like the bases, the hideouts,
the stuff that's actually important to the plot, yeah.
Yeah, like the war room that Falcon entered with President Ross, that just looked super bland and generic. Which, I mean, to be actually no, I actually just recently watched some clips of The West Wing. Great show, by the way. I really enjoyed that. The war room, because it's like an office for people that go there, or like, no, people have assigned seats. It's somewhat lived in. Like that's an issue I've had recently. Is that some places don't look, and like some of the movies and stuff, or some of the show. Well, no, the shows actually do pretty good with like some of the sets looking lived in. Actually,
it's the issue of everything looks like a soundstage with a green screen in the background.
Most of the sets are green screened, actually.
Well, but that's the thing. In a good use of green screen or a soundstage, you shouldn't be able to tell. The fact that it's very obvious and they haven't done like the minimum set dressing necessary to actually utilize that soundstage or that green screen effectively is the bad part. It's like what we said when James Cameron's second Avatar came out. The idea that the CGI actually looked worse in the 2022 movie than it did in the 2010 one, or was it I think it was 2009. But yeah, it's the issue. It's not that you're using CGI that is the problem. It's that A, you're not giving your artists enough time or enough resources to make proper use of CGI, and B, you're doing just the bare minimum to make it look not hokey in the first place, and very often that makes the CGI look like something you would see in a PlayStation 2 or PlayStation 3 render. And
I'm gonna be honest.
If video games have better CGI than your movie, you've kind of fucked up somewhere.
I'm gonna be honest. I think PS2, PS3, at least, like those CGI, that those cutscenes actually are, depending on the game, obviously, are better than.
Right, but that's exactly my point. If a game system from when I was a kid has better CGI in its cutscenes than you do in a several $100 million movie blockbuster, then you done fucked up somewhere. Because, and here's the other thing, people with actual passion and skill can do this kind of thing on a shoestring budget, and it still looks good, whereas people with all the money in the world but couldn't be arsed to give a fuck will be given, $200 million and the highest tech they can get, and it still looks like crap. Like for example, and yes, this is going to be me simping for Agatha All Along a third or fourth time, but Agatha All Along was apparently the cheapest MCU show they've ever produced, and it still looked good because one, they did a lot of things practically, or a lot of effects practically, when they could feasibly avoid using CGI. And what they did use, they put the time, effort, and skill into making aesthetically pleasing on its own merits, so that its cheapness didn't detract from things.
To be fair, I don't mind cheapness, but given that I grew up watching shows like Stargate, SGU, Atlantis, basically like the golden age, relatively, of sci-fi shows in the early 2000s. Mainly because they had good stories, amazing characters, and utilized like special effects and stuff rather well.
And this is another thing. The reason why shows like Farscape, Stargate, etc., the reason why that CGI still actually holds up pretty well is because they made up for their, lack of technological resources by making something that was aesthetically pleasing on its own terms. Whereas now they apparently have completely forgotten how to do CGI in a way that looks aesthetically or stylistically pleasing. An example that I would throw out is there was a fantasy show called Legends of the Seeker when I was a kid, and each of those episodes were only made for like $1 million a piece, which for a high fantasy setting, that's basically peanuts. But they knew how to shoot things aesthetically and utilize camera angles and make things that were CGI aesthetically pleasing and or interesting, and therefore Legend of the Seeker actually looks better aesthetically than Rings of fucking Power, even though Rings of fucking Power costs like $1 billion a season. Anyway, but point being, it's not that you have CGI, it's that you don't know how to use it, or that you don't know how to sublet and supplement CGI with practical effects and stage dressing and camera aesthetics and shit, so as to make it look good. If your soundstage still feels like a soundstage to the viewer after you've done all your technological fiddling with it, someone has done fucked up. Moving along. Yeah.
All right.
Nothing about this feels right. Captain America. You ever ask yourself, who's playing who?
I will say this as kind of a positive. Just me being charitable. The combat that Falcon utilizes with the Captain America shield throw-in, like in the wing and stuff, is interesting. Let's give it that.
I mean, I'll have to take your word for it, because as we've specified, this is very much nowhere near my genre. So if it appeals to you, I will take your word for it. I don't have any feelings either way with regards to it. Banana.
All right. Banana.
Someone's been pulling the strings on everything.
You're under arrest.
I don't want a variable out there that I can't control. Stop! Captain America caught without his wings. You'd like to play?
Also, I feel like this is a legit just wasted potential of Giancarlo Esposito.
Also, and maybe this is just me, but having people constantly refer to him as Captain America is very, very forced. Especially because to the best of my recollection, they only called Steve Captain America while he was like in the room, like 3, maybe 4 times in his entire trilogy. They usually just referred to him as Captain Rogers, and everybody knew he was Captain America, so you didn't have to say Captain America. And it does feel a little forced to have people constantly referring to Sam as Captain America, given that we all know that at the very least he isn't the Captain America that everyone thinks of when they think of Captain America. Which is another aspect that this issue kind of inherits from the comics, because Sam has been quote unquote Captain America for like 10 years in the comics now. And yet I will guarantee you that no matter how like much of a comic nerd you are, when I say Captain America, you're thinking of Steve. Like, and that's true of like 99.999% of people. And even that remaining 0.01% of people probably kind of have to force themselves to think of Sam first, because they're the SJW types who want a more diverse Captain America, quote unquote. And that is very much a problem. If your own trailer has to mention that, you know, Sam is Captain America, like I think we're on the 3rd time just now, was the 3rd time. Whereas your previous Captain America didn't even need to be called that, and people understood who he was. That's not a good sign, especially given the basis of this movie in Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Banana.
One sec. All right. Honestly, okay, this is a weird thing. But actually, who is the director for this movie? Because I'm curious.
I have no idea whatsoever. I actually forgot this movie was coming out until I saw you send the trailer.
Really?
Yeah.
All right. Julius, I'm gonna butcher this last name, and I apologize. Ona. It's Onah.
Yeah, I have no idea. That's probably about as close as I could get.
He did the
What's his
Cloverfield.
filmography like?
I'm looking. He did the Cloverfield Paradox.
That was the 3rd one, right?
Yeah,
The one that got released on Netflix, I think.
Yeah, the space station one.
Yeah.
He's done a couple other things, but I don't think anything that's made that we would have seen.
I mean, Cloverfield Paradox was okay. I definitely think it's the weakest of the 3, but it's not a reason to decry him, but nor is it anything to write home about either. Like I don't have like, this isn't a bad sign, but it's not exactly a good sign either. You know what I mean?
Well, I was gonna say, given all the flying and stuff, for one thing, why don't we make this like, okay, if we're pitching this and we have, okay, say we have to do Sam Wilson as Captain America, and again, I wouldn't mind him being, like, I know we've had that difference of opinion, but just playing the ball where it lies here. Why don't we make it, and kind of following your idea at the very least, like buddy cop or like kind of an action movie.
Yeah.
Right.
Marvel's answer to Rush Hour.
What if it's Rush Hour meets Top Gun?
Yeah, that could work.
And because I've seen all the flying, all the jets and stuff, right? Why don't we get the director for Top Gun Maverick, Joseph Kosinski?
That would make sense. And given that Top Gun Maverick made bastarding $1.5 billion. That would also be
And the
good
guy,
news for the potential
um,
pedigree of this movie.
he also did Tron Legacy, which I like a lot. And the guy has actually, for one thing, he's known to like really make awesome, like use CGI to its fullest. Like to be fair, he combines CGI and practical stuff a lot. Because I believe, if I remember correctly, he actually he had a background in architecture, hence why like the designs and stuff in Tron Legacy and like the sets and stuff.
That makes sense.
And yeah, given that he's worked with like other like big IPs and stuff like Tron Legacy and Top Gun Maverick, he would know how to work with this kind of thing. And
I think he'd also know how to make this aesthetically interesting enough that it would get some people's attention, which
yeah.
I think is that, like, even if you knew nothing about She-Hulk or Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and even if you were okay with there being Sam Wilson as Captain America, which again I don't think a lot of people are, because a lot of people like me ask themselves the question of why in the fuck does Captain America even need to be a mantle? But assuming that you were the target audience of this movie, someone who had no axe to grind with She-Hulk or Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and were okay with the idea of Sam as Captain America, you still have to do the work or put in the effort to make the movie engaging, entertaining, interesting, intriguing, etc. You have to still get people to want to watch it. And this movie is so flat and bland right now that even if you had no axe to grind whatsoever with the movie, which a lot of people do, they have an axe coming in, but even if you had no other bias against this movie, there's still the question of, wait, isn't Steve dead? How can there be a fourth Captain America movie? And dear God, this looks like the worst of the bunch.
Right. So, yeah, visually it would look very interesting. Okay, so if we're doing Joseph Kosinski as the director. Stunt coordinator, obviously. Well, no, I mean we'd have to find someone who knows how to do like effectively wire work.
I don't know of anyone wire work wise off the top
Or
of my head.
at least would know stuff about aerial combat. Like honestly, I feel like you'd have to get like someone who's been like a past fighter jet pilot or something as like a consultant to get the
honestly, what didn't the guys who did John Wick get their start doing The Matrix?
I think they were stunt doubles for the actors, yeah, but
okay, so they weren't behind any of the wire work or the bullet time shit. Well, who did like wire work for bullet time and stuff in The Matrix?
Hold on. Well, I was gonna suggest I don't know if he did the wire work, but fuck, I had it. God damn it. There's a Okay, hold on. Sorry, my internet's being a little slow.
When isn't it?
Shut up. Okay, so the stunt coordinator for The Matrix was Glenn Boswell. Just to make sure, I want to check if he is still alive.
Yeah, that was going to be my next question.
Oh, he worked. Okay, that's interesting. He worked on The Hobbit too,
Interesting.
right? Oh, he was also the stunt coordinator for Wrath of Man. It's one of my favorite Guy Ritchie movies of recent years.
Hmm.
Hmm. It looks like he's still alive.
Okay, so him doing the stunts, guy who did Tron Legacy and Top Gun Maverick doing the directing.
Joseph Kosinski.
What about the writing, do you think?
Okay, well, if we're going more of a Top Gun action and adventure kind of story, I mean, I still want to keep, because again, with Captain America, just overall, like the character in general, no matter who holds the shield, much to your not chagrin, distaste for that, disdain for it.
Yeah.
The character has always handled issues of.
Well, I mean, he is Captain America, so that's sort of
Yeah.
baked into the concept.
But we need someone who can write an engaging story that's fun and adventurous, but also ask questions.
Guy who did District 9 and
Are we talking the director or the writer?
I could have sworn he did both in District 9.
Let me look that up then, just to be sure.
I thought it was I think it's Neil Blomkamp, but
Yeah, it's Neil Blomkamp. Originally, all that stuff was supposed to he only made that because he never got to make the Halo movie.
right. I think he would be a good choice. How even if he and Joseph
Kaczynski.
I could see them like co-directing, and it would be really cool.
Right. Okay. Let me look up the IDMB. That means we'd also given Neil Blomkamp using Charlotte Copley, who was the main character in District 9 and is actually like he was also Murdoch in the A-Team reboot movie with Liam Neeson and Bradley Cooper.
Mm.
Okay, yeah, it was Neil Blomkamp and another guy named Terry Tatchell.
Mm-hmm.
She hasn't done much. Did a couple short films and stuff, but
okay. So Neil Blomkamp either writing and co-directing, or just writing, depending.
yeah. Although, given Marvel, they'd only want one star director.
I mean, if he's willing to do writing, then we'll have him do the writing. But
No, they you know how they never get they never get a good writer for these movies though. That's the issue.
I mean, sure, but
well then okay, let me actually rephrase that. I'm not saying because there are some writers in the recent movies. I think the issue is they mostly get new writers. They never get experienced writers.
Yeah, but since we're essentially engaged in the process of fixing this movie for them, we can say that let's say you and I were tapped to coordinate the team on the Captain America 4 slate. We would probably insist on Neil Blomkamp as the writer, and
yeah.
But
if you'd be interested, obviously.
So assuming he could be gotten for this thing, then he's the writer.
With Neil Blomkamp, he's a weird director. Let's be fully honest on that. Like a lot of movies you've seen him make are out there.
Oh yeah, they're all slightly insane. Like Chappie and I think Elysium was his too.
I believe
Was
so.
Elysium his?
Hence why he's kind of my
Okay.
always kind of my major pick for a Martian Manhunter movie, like as director.
Yeah, I can see where you're going with that, especially given the shrimp creatures from District 9. I can kind of see the like literal alienation of John kind of, and coming to terms with that would be interesting. Anyway, so Joseph Kosinski directing, Neil Blomkamp writing.
Glenn,
Cast is obviously mostly squared away already.
yeah. For the record, Serpent Society, right? Like changing the antagonist, even though we don't know who the antagonist here is.
If the behind the scenes information is correct, it's the leader.
That's so stupid. Originally,
I know, but
it was supposed
this
to
is
be
why we need to fix it.
Yeah, originally it was supposed to be the Serpent Society, which makes sense. And it's a Brave New World if we're keeping that title. So a new threat would be needed. And the leader, well, technically new because we haven't seen him. He was set up in Incredible Hulk, so he's been around at least.
Assuming how the hell they're ever going to make that timeline work. The idea of any version of Captain America fighting Hulks is already in and of itself a fucking stupid idea.
Yeah.
But assuming that they've decided that needs to be a thing, I don't know how in the hell they're gonna. How in the hell do you make a sequel to She-Hulk and Falcon and the Winter Soldier and not make it complete ass to watch?
Also, I'm not gonna lie, man. I'm not gonna lie, man. I actually would like to get like a new costume. Like, I don't like the costume for Sam. I get it's comic accurate effectively, but
it was a bad suit in the comics too. And if you decide,
sorry, I was just gonna mention, like, for one thing, they have shots of him using like a jet helmet, like wearing that when he flies super high because altitude and lack of oxygen up there. And it would make sense that he wears like a full helmet for defense. Like his suit is made out of vibranium.
Also, if you've decided that you're going to keep the like augmented power armor angle, why isn't it more metallic looking? Remember Cap's first official suit in the first one?
It looks
where it was a lot more like military centric looking.
Mm-hmm.
So something like that, but with like metallic armor on the outside of it, because again, they've decided that the like power armor augmentation is the angle they're going.
It strikes me as weird that because Sam is effectively, I don't think they ever specified, and if I'm wrong, someone please correct me. I don't know if they specified what operation. Well, he was pararescue.
I know think they mentioned Air Force in Winter Soldier, but I could be mistaken.
Well, he was said to be pararescue, which could be part of any branch, I believe.
Okay.
I would assume airmen, but he can handle well. I'm not sure, but if anything, given his air-centricness as a theme for the character and Falcon and all that, I feel like the suit it should resemble a flight suit.
That would make some kind of sense, yes. Or failing that, like have it based on like astronauts a little bit if he's going to be pushing his limits in the upper atmosphere a lot. Then
Yeah, I would say a
take his
mixture of
cues.
I would say a mixture of U.S. airman suit, like a jet pilot and astronaut, and
Yeah,
keep the helmet on too. Because again, if he's going to be flying high all the time, and again, it's good protection.
yeah. It's not as if wearing a helmet in battle would inconvenience him at all. It
To be fair,
helmets are good to protect one's head while one
right,
is
to be fair,
thrashing bad guys and so on.
I'm also making the argument that he should keep the helmet on basically all the time. Not to hide Anthony Mackie, obviously, but I'm just so sick of the helmet of like characters who wear like full mask, taking them off constantly.
Because the actor's ego goes, well, how are people supposed to see me? And the correct answer is, of course, they're not supposed to. You're supposed to make your character compelling with your acting, both vocal and bodily.
I mean, hey, come on. There are characters who have who don't really take their helmets off. Like, I mean, hello, Pedro Pascal as the Mandalorian. Most of that series, he has always worn a helmet and could still portray a lot of things.
Yeah, I would complain about Dr. Fate and Black Adam, but I felt like they did a good balance there. I didn't feel like he was taking it off too much.
All right, look, we got like 37 seconds left, so.
Yeah,
and this is only
banana.
the first trailer.
Yeah, banana.
Dress up and blindly execute the state's orders.
Don't say I didn't warn you.
What if this is a trap? You don't even know what this is.
Since when were they red?
This just feels like a major spoiler that should not be in a trailer.
I mean, I get what they're going for. They're going for this is the bizarre hook of the movie and stuff. But again, if you're trying to make a follow-up to She-Hulk and Falcon and the Winter Soldier, you're already playing on a handicap here.
Right.
And
I don't know, man. It just
banana.
You want me? Come and get me!
And outside it just looks so bad in terms of CGI render.
And again, this is too late in the production history for they're still working on the CGI to be the excuse. There's only 4 months, and I don't even know what date is like February. What is it coming out?
It didn't say. I wasn't
Mhm.
looking, to be fair.
Okay, but it is currently the middle of November. That gives you December, January, and like 1 week of February to work with. Like the second half of this month, and then
Valentine's
like
Day.
all of December, and then into so yeah, you have the second half of this month, you have December, you have January, and then you might be able to have 1 or 2 days in February if you absolutely need them. But honestly, if the movie's not done by the month that the movie's supposed to be coming out in, you've fucked up somewhere. And this is another part of the problem. Is a lot of Phase 4 movies apparently have been
We're not in phase 4.
or Phase 5. Phase 4 and 5 movies were
Are we in phase
unfinished.
5?
Yes. The first movie in Phase 5 was Quantumania.
Really?
But yeah, the problem with Phases 4 and 5, well, among many other substantive problems, is that seems as though Marvel has become so lazy with regards to CGI that they're literally putting the finishing touches on it like the weekend before the movie is supposed to come out, or like the week before the movie is supposed to come out. And no wonder so many movies have fallen flat on their ass if you're literally finishing the CGI rendering the like days before the movie even comes out. And again, I hate to burst this particular bubble, but you're already playing this on hard mode. You cannot afford to handicap yourself like this. Because you're already calling this Captain America 4 without Steve Rogers being in it. You're already having this Captain America fighting Hulks, which makes no fucking sense. You're already trying to stick with the serious political thriller thing, even though it would make more sense to differentiate Falcon's Cap from Steve Rogers' Cap. And you're already doing a follow-up to arguably the two worst shows in the MCU canon, which is Falcon and the Winter Soldier and She-Hulk. You are playing this on hard mode in literally every sense of the word, and you're still failing to even basically have the aesthetics and the CGI of the product done. So I wouldn't be surprised if this movie winds up making about as much money as the Marvels.
Okay.
To be honest with you.
Sorry, my mind's going off into my rewriting space.
Mm.
One thing, I'm just trying to get a list. Because the issue, because we've had so many discussions of this, and don't worry, we'll get to the trailer, because get to the next one. But we're kind of in agreement that everything kind of went downhill after Endgame, right?
I would actually start the downfall at Endgame, because I thought Endgame was complete shit.
Okay. Right. Sorry, I worded that wrong. My bad.
Yeah.
That's what I meant.
Yeah. Because
I meant to say after Infinity War. That's what I meant to say. Sorry.
Yeah, because I mean,
I'm a little tired. I had not a long day at work, but fuck, I'm just tired.
In any case, yeah. Captain Marvel already showed signs of the wheels falling off.
Okay.
Endgame was complete shite.
Okay, so, and I have a workaround. It's a simple workaround. With this, I think the issue was obviously again like the pipeline mentality they were going with at the time. Still having it somewhat now.
Which that in and of itself was a problem with Endgame, because you could have actually used Endgame as a springboard to the next storyline, but they were so focused on wrapping up the current storyline that they didn't think they needed any setup for the next phase,
Right.
even though they were planning to continue in the next phase. I don't get that.
The issue is like because they filmed Infinity War and Endgame back to back.
Yeah, and you could have easily set up the next big bad at the end of Endgame. Have it be a horde of Celestials, have it be Galactus, have it be whomever, but you should have been using.
Hold on, sorry, Don. I don't mean to cut you off, but what I was gonna say, because again, we've had relatively recent discussions about this, regarding because I have tried in the past to do a rewrite of the MCU post Infinity War.
Yeah, a lot of our ideas for that wound up being the basis for the Lionhearted.
Yeah. Oh, right. There's actually something specific. If we have time after stream, I'll talk to you about it.
Okay.
I forgot to bring it up. But what I was gonna say was, well, for one thing, again, the major idea that kind of radically changes things is moving Endgame. not to be released. What was it, like a year after Infinity War, or was it 2 years?
No, it was a year.
Okay,
It was 2018 for Infinity War, 2019 for Endgame.
see, I think that's where the problem lies. Because everyone remembers that they did a time skip early on in the movie of Endgame,
Mhm.
which was 5 years. And it's lightly addressed in some of the properties, like Far From Home and No Way Home, or Far From Home.
And I think there was like one scene that addressed it in Multiverse of Madness where Nicodemus West, his brother, and his cat died.
Yeah, and fucking son of a mother. And some of the shows actually handled the ramifications of that. But my my point is, hold off on Endgame and build up those 5 years, because that is an interesting part that never gets talked about, and that gives you time to build stuff out so you can, after like the original roster, the Avengers move on or whatever.
Yeah.
However you want to handle that.
Actually set up for the next phase so you're not left completely holding the bag like they were.
Yeah.
And this is the other thing that kills me about why in the hell they didn't make use of the resources that were given to them. COVID happened basically immediately following Endgame. So what, like, I know you couldn't actually make things much because social distancing rules and whatever. But one thing you could have done is use the 2020 through 2022 delay to have story arc planning meetings. To have those sorts of, to have the kind of sessions that me and Brainstormer usually have on Thursdays, the writing bullshit sessions,
Right.
basically. And they didn't use any of that time. They basically seem to have taken the entirety of COVID off. And I don't understand why they didn't use that time to their advantage.
I'm trying to. Sorry, my mind is like in 10 different places at once right now
Mm-hmm.
because I'm trying to rewrite stuff in my head right now. But well, what I'm getting at is, like, you could, for one thing, like the TV shows and stuff, and hell, like I have a full rewrite. Well, not a full rewrite. I have like a outline of a rewrite for She-Hulk. And I'm.
That simply boils down to make her like she was in the comics. Because
Well, that, and I have it set, at least her origin set during the 5 years.
which would make sense. Would also allow you to actually have the story arc have consequences, which they basically all but erased now.
Right. Also, the issue with like trying to there's a lot of stuff that came out after Endgame that needs a lot of rewrites.
Yeah, because they basically threw whatever they wanted to at the wall to see what stuck, which again could have been forestalled by actually using the stall in production that was handed to you on a silver platter to it, fully knowing you couldn't make much in the 3 years of COVID. Why didn't you use it for writing and like production and administration meetings? Because there's nothing stopping Kevin Feige and Sam Raimi from getting on a Zoom call and planning out what he wants to do with the mystical side of Marvel. Or there was nothing stopping Kevin Feige and James Gunn from getting on a Zoom call or a StreamYard session and just plan out what you want to do with Cosmic Marvel, and so on and so on and so on. And if you want to do the Multiverse Saga, get the people you want to do the Multiverse Saga with, and then have them Zoom call in. Like
Right.
the 3-year gap that COVID handed you on a silver platter should have been your cue to, okay, we did a planning session before phase 1. Now let's use these next 3 years to work out the kinks of our next 3 phases. But instead, you just went, we have no idea what we're doing. It's something vaguely related to multiverses. We'll figure out the rest of it later. And therein lies the problem. Moving on.
Right. Okay. Also, Love and Thunder was actually fairly easy when I looked up Thor's Rogues Gallery, which is weird. We never really get a touch on them a lot because he actually has a fairly decent Rogues Gallery.
I'm kind of surprised they never used Mangog even once in Thor movies.
That is funny because I put him in that. I put him in my Love and Thunder rewrites.
And I wish they had saved Malekith, because if they actually had done a version of Malekith that was more like the comics, i.e. that was actually a fucking dark elf, that could have worked a lot better. And honestly, I feel like Doctor Strange was massively underutilized in Ragnarok, and having Doctor Strange pair up with Thor for like a buddy movie makes perfect fucking sense.
Yeah, there's actually like a rewrite. There's actually like a rewrite comic that gives him a little more time, like Doctor Strange a little more time in Ragnarok.
Because for one thing, Doctor Strange has always been a frequent like supporting character. He crossed over with Spidey all the time. He's crossed over with Thor a bunch, etc., and so on. But also, we know he can serve a more substantive supportive role because of No Way Home. So that would have been a good choice in my opinion.
Yeah,
but,
so I had the God Killers, which is a team in Marvel, led by Gore the God Butcher, obviously, because I wanted to keep him because Christian Bale was awesome in that.
And speaking of buddy potential between Doctor Strange and Thor, if you combined the God Killers with the Empirical from Last Days of Magic, that would have made sense. Because I maintain that Jason Aaron probably wanted to do that as one big storyline. Marvel said no, so he did it as 2 smaller storylines that should have probably intersected, but didn't.
So sorry. Okay, I know we're rambling here, but since I'm on it, were they the leader? Oh no, okay, they were. I don't know if they were called the God Butchers or not, but I also had Mangog, like you said, part
Yeah.
of it. Which is it? Because I looked it up, obviously, because I did research, because I'm not stupid.
Which, speaking of problems that phases 4 through 6 are probably going to have,
I have him because he's supposed to be the embodiment of the victims of, I believe it was Odin, or just Odin in the comics, or the Aesir or Asgardians.
right? Which, given what they set up in Ragnarok with what Hela said about Odin and I drowned entire civilizations in blood, that you can actually, like, it makes perfect sense to bring Mangog in and call back to that part in Ragnarok.
Yeah. So yeah,
And
he's
then it becomes a sins of the fathers thing.
Yeah, the embodiment of hatred of the victims of Odin and Hela. That's what I wrote.
Mm-hmm.
Then Ulik, the strongest of the rock trolls and king of the trolls.
Mm-hmm.
Ymir, sole survivor of Niflheim and progenitor of the frost giants.
Mm-hmm.
Just to like kind of, because I know you yourself are not like the biggest fans of the first two Thor movies. That's fine, but there's stuff in that should have lasting consequences that were never brought up.
Not to mention, it's kind of stupid how long it's taken them to realize, hey, this character's Thor, maybe we should use some stuff from Norse mythology in his movies.
To be fair, Ymir is a character in Marvel too, so
yeah, but you get what I'm saying. I can't believe it's taken until this hypothetical 4th movie for them to get to oh hey, he's Thor. Maybe we should pull some stuff from Norse mythology or something.
And then Atum, the God Eater, the god that hates gods.
Interesting. But anyway, we
And
probably should get to the next trailer at some point.
and Beta Ray Bill, the champion of the Corbinites, is on the God Butcher. Because, motherfucker, Beta Ray Bill needs to be in a fucking Thor movie. Like, son of a bitch. He is like a brother to Thor.
Yeah, not to mention that if you wanted Thor's journey to end, it would make sense for you to like have him pass the torch, or in this case, the hammer,
I'm sorry,
to Beta Ray Bill.
Don. I need to go on a tangent here about Beta Ray Bill.
By all means.
Beta Ray Bill is
So
one of
much for this episode being shorter than usual.
Yeah, Beta Ray Bill is like one of the coolest characters that ever came out of like Marvel, and I believe he was created by Walter Simonson, who's like regarded as like one of the best Thor writers out there for Marvel.
Mm-hmm.
And again, correct me if I'm wrong, if I am. But he is a character. I think he is regarded as, and again, I could be wrong. He's like he was like the first character in Marvel Comics to be able to wield Mjolnir, besides Thor.
That is correct.
Okay. So that is granted, I don't think, given that they've shown Captain America able to wield it in the MCU before Beta Ray Bill ever came into being, so it would have less impact, but
And again,
Vision and Vision too.
Yeah, if you wanted Thor's story arc to be done, which that was one of the biggest problems with Love and Thunder, was they kept retreading old ground because they seemed to just not know what to do with Thor. But assuming for some reason that you wanted Thor's journey to end shortly after Ragnarok, or shortly after this new version of Endgame, at least, then having him pass the hammer to Beta Ray Bill and have him become the next Thor not only would make perfect sense for his arc, but would also be a better replacement Thor than Jane Foster. So
didn't she die in Love and Thunder though?
She did.
Right.
Yet another reason they should have brought in Beta Ray Bill. But they
and also again, Beta Ray Bill is such an interesting character because he was he was an antagonistic force in his introductory issue. Because he was fighting Thor, but he proved himself a noble being. Also, the dude has an on and off again relationship with Lady Sif.
I feel like there should be a joke about the size of horse penises here, and so I shall make it.
You disgust me.
Am I wrong though?
To be fair,
was that joke not tangibly in the air?
No. Like they have a really complex relationship. Like it's because he was given the power because Walter Simonson, I think he did write an interesting character. I'm not going to deny that, but he also wrote that character to give away the power because back then Thor could take on the
Donald Blake.
Donald Blake, thank you. And for one thing, Beta Ray Bill is a genetically augmented Corbinite, hence his appearance, which makes him an outsider to his people because they look more humanoid. I don't know when this comic, because I'd seen it on Twitter, like a page of it, but it was Beta Ray Bill and Lady Sif about to be in a night of passion.
Again, obligatory horse penis
Shut up.
joke.
You are a juvenile, sir. You are childish.
No, you are just too sheltered, my friend.
Trying to make a point here. And Sif asks if he can, turn back into like his kind of regular Corbinite form. And Bill, because I don't want to say Beta Ray Bill because it kind of is just it's super long.
Mhm.
Says that he kind of gave up that power, and the art is amazing, by the way, and it showed the subtlety that Sif was disappointed that he couldn't shift back into like his normal form, and that extremely hurt Bill, and he left because I think he's always had that kind of issue, like that self-image issue, because he's always felt like an outsider given the genetic augmentation. And
Yeah,
I think,
the I'm a freak syndrome.
yeah, but hell, and when Thor was unworthy of Mjolnir, Beta Ray Bill was there to offer Stormbreaker to Thor, saying, "Take it." No strings attached, no anything. He just wanted his brother to feel whole again. Because they are brothers. They're bound together.
In the figurative sense, at least.
Obviously.
Unless Freya got up to something behind Odin's back. Lol.
They are brothers in bond. Because they are both worthy to wield the power of Mjolnir. And both are noble beings. And protectors of their people and all that. They got a lot of similarities.
Mm.
But my point being is the fact, and it's just weird to me because he's kind of an integral character to Thor in so many ways that it's somewhat frustrating that he hasn't been given his proper due, except for like one episode in Avengers Earth's Mightiest Heroes way back
I mean,
2010s.
we haven't even gotten much of a canonization of the Corbinites except for the exterior of Hulk's champion tower on Sakaar.
Which I believe was supposed to be Beta Ray Bill.
Mm-hmm. But that is the sum and substance of any references to Corbinites at all in the MCU so far.
And to be fair, I don't know. I would take a lot of inspiration because it was a good episode. The Ballad of Beta Ray Bill, which was from Avengers Earth's Mightiest Heroes. That they were fleeing from Surtur, or like his fire demons. Their original planet was destroyed, and they were seeking a new world to call home. And Beta Ray Bill was selected to become genetically modified and cybernetically augmented in order to protect his people on like the Ark ship, as most of his people remain in suspended animation.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess given with Ragnarok happening, well, even not then, like with Dark World, saying like a lot of the realms were in chaos, effectively.
Mm-hmm.
You could have had Beta Ray Bill's planet be one of hell, like during the convergence, because I think there were some planets that were attacked by the Reality Stone or the Aether. Was it the Aether they called it?
Yes. And then it was revealed later to be the Reality Stone.
Right. So again, like consequences having, there are consequences that have happened.
Yeah, use the world building you're actually setting up instead of just constantly and perpetually blue balling your entire fan base.
Hell, I wouldn't even argue it's blue balling. They just drop it because no one liked the Dark World. Which, okay, fine, it wasn't a good movie, but just because something's bad doesn't mean you can't use something from it to make it retroactively good in some
Yeah,
form. or fashion.
you should do what Ragnarok did, which is like go back to the drawing board and do a soft reboot.
Anyway, yeah, we talked long enough about that. I'm sorry. I just
I know you can't help it. You have fucking Richard Maddox syndrome.
there's just so much untapped potential with so many concepts that the MCU has kind of squandered that it shaped me to no end.
Mhm. Anyway, so speaking of MCU project that we basically have no reason to look forward to,
right,
Thunderbolts.
It's from D23 Brazil special look, Marvel's Thunderbolts with an asterisk at the end, and it's going to be in theaters May 2nd, 2025.
Again, wake me when and if they decide to do anything with any of the parts of the universe that I give a shit about.
And we've gone through a different. We'll talk more about like our kind of revisions of this because it can work. The Thunderbolts is an interesting concept in itself.
Yeah, it can and should work, and it's child's play to make it work. But unfortunately, the obviously correct answer was apparently not available to them. So,
to be fair, they keep backing themselves in the corner with all the decisions made by so many of the other like properties.
Yeah, but in any case,
I'm not saying that excuses the shit. Obviously,
if anything, it's a reason to be even harsher on them and tell them to stop backing yourselves into a corner.
I was just gonna say it explains why it's shit.
Yeah, stop handicapping and kneecapping yourself constantly. Seriously, it's not that hard to get the right answer every now and again. But banana.
Oh, America's so big. You ever drive through Oklahoma? It's so flat.
You got a convoy approaching fast. Step on it.
Is nobody gonna mention that the Russian guy saying how big America is kind of silly?
Okay, a bit fast.
Oh fuck! I just realized that.
Yep. Pro tip, Marvel: don't put words in the mouth of a character that it makes no sense for him to say that for.
Hey,
have somebody else say it.
Hey, I'm gonna be right back. Okay, so when we get to the minute part, I'll start talking about like the ideas I've had for a Thunderbolts rewrite that I've been trying to work out for like the last year or so. But yeah, I'll be right back. Give me a sec.
Yeah, and not only does the Russian guy saying that not make sense, it actually would have been funnier for one of the other characters to say that, one of the non-Russian characters to say that, and then have Red Guardian point out, "Oh, I am from Russia. You have not seen anything yet," or something along those lines. And yes, I am aware how much I butchered the Russian accent there. I tried.
I also want to point this out. I only noticed it now when I was looking at like the thumbnail for the video. They changed Red Guardian's outfit, which I'm really bummed about. Like his suit, right?
Mm-hmm.
I really liked the Black Widow one because it was MCU-ified, but it wasn't. I'll get. I mean, when we get a better look at his costume.
Yeah.
Banana.
Sir, please.
Lexi! Okay, don't worry. Engaging defensive measures.
Oh my god.
Wait, there's not smoke.
Oh my god.
Move the shield!
You know, the weird thing is they have a lot more chemistry than like any of the heroes.
They do, and they have more. They have more chemistry than they did in Black Widow either, which is also nice.
Well, I mean, all of like hell, Walker, Ghost from Ant-Man, yeah, they're all just like they're bouncing off each other actually pretty well.
Which is a good sign, but there's still the okay, but why question in the
Yeah.
background.
But again, it's I'm sorry, it's a nitpick thing with me here,
Hmm.
but it's weird. Like, I love David Harbour, and he's usually pretty good at being comedic, right?
Hmm.
I'm not saying he's not comedic here, but he's a phenomenal actor who could really go between like so many different emotions, right?
Hmm.
I just think he could be his character as Red Guardian could be a lot more interesting if he was a little more serious. Because here, obviously, it kind of comes across as like he's the comedic relief, which fine.
But honestly, he strikes me as a Drax-like character who is more comedic when he's not being comedic.
Right.
Especially,
okay, so
especially with the whole stoic Russian Cossack thing.
Well, let's also think about this, like the character that's been set up from Black Widow, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's a former Soviet, effectively, he's supposed to be a symbol of the Soviet Union that Captain America was in World War II, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Though he never got to be on the front lines, given how the Cold War worked. So he was more a symbol of propaganda than anything.
Yeah.
So he never served his purpose like Captain America did.
Yeah, essentially he got stuck in the... Yeah, go
Sorry,
ahead.
I just want to get the full thing across first.
Mm.
And not only that, he had to, instead of wearing the symbol of his country with pride, he would go on covert missions. He was made a spy and not a frontline soldier, which I think at his core he knows that's what he is.
Mm-hmm.
And not only that, he was given a family. You know, the Soviet Union spy thing, right?
Yeah.
Which
the GRU.
Huh?
The GRU.
Is that what they were called?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. Okay, thank you. Where was I going with? All right. And it was very clear in the movie that he genuinely cared for them, but he had his. Unlike Steve, who was never one for following rules when it came to those he cared for, Alexei was the opposite in the fact that he cared too much for his country that he would follow rules without question, even if that meant sacrificing his family. Which I think he does regret, even though that's never given any light in the Black Widow movie, as they play him for a dumbass.
Uh-huh. Which doesn't help, by the way.
I know. And when we see him again in present day, he's been riding away in a prison, trying to relive glory days by telling stories and impressing everyone. When it's clear he's just depressed because he never lived up to his full potential as a super soldier.
Yeah, he got stuck in the position that Steve was in after the accident before he rescued the hostages.
Right. Hell, like Alexei even like makes up stories. Although I've heard some theories that it could have been like one of the really bad Captain America knockoffs that he fought and tells everyone it was Captain America. Which I think would be interesting because it makes sense given Isaiah Bradley. They probably would have tried to make Captain America's over the decades since Steve was missing.
They kept trying to reinvent the serum, and it kept backfiring.
Yeah. But and then when he is helping Natasha, he kind of starts to feel like he's living up to his purpose. So, if anything, I'm not saying he should be bitter or cynical, more. And yeah, he
Stoic.
could, stoic, and he could be using the humor as a defense mechanism or a way to cope. Obviously, some people
Mhm.
do that. I've known a lot of people who've done that. I've done that. Actually, no, that's a lie. I'm not funny. I don't really use. I'm stoic actually. My point being, the Red Guardian, given the story that was made for him on paper for the MCU, leads so much potential to a very interesting, in-depth character that honestly I could see explored in the earlier phases
Mhm.
with some tact. That's what I meant.
Yeah.
But they just constantly play him for a fool. And again, David Harbour can do that, but he can also do more.
Mhm.
So it's like it. I don't know.
It's failures all the way down, I'm afraid.
Yeah.
Banana.
Yeah. Give me. Let me get to the tab. Go.
Is that Bucky?
It's a Winter Soldier.
That guy is so cool.
Jen streaming is on that Red Guardian would know the Winter Soldier, obviously.
I mean, if Bucky was brainwashed by the Russians, as we had it in Winter Soldier, I'm sure they would have. I'm sure
Well,
they
no,
would have.
he was brainwashed by Hydra, and I think they had a unit, a splinter cell in the Soviet Union. So
Regardless, it's believable that they would have crossed paths before. Although,
although
if anything, based on what we just went over with regards to his backstory, would Alexei feel? I almost think he would feel hostile towards Bucky just on the
yeah, no,
basis of
I was gonna say I feel like there's
instead of using him, they fucked around with Bucky instead.
honestly, I was thinking he'd have like a one-sided rivalry with Bucky, like he does with Captain America, kind of.
Mm-hmm.
Also, okay, so I'm gonna be fully honest. One of the better parts of Falcon and the Winter Soldier was Bucky's kind of story of him trying to find forgiveness within himself, given the past he was as the Winter Soldier.
Mm-hmm.
That was one of the better ones, given Sebastian Stan being just phenomenal actor in that.
Mm-hmm.
Him doing
he played the Mad Hatter in Once Upon a Time before he was cast as Bucky.
I know.
He was good in that too. Anyway, shall
Yeah.
we?
Hold on. I was getting that. I was getting something. I'm a bit iffy on him being on the Thunderbolts. Just given how his story kind of was told in Falcon and the Winter Soldier, where he found some kind of peace.
Yeah, he's gone through his redemption arc by now.
Yeah, so I don't see him being part of like this Black Ops superhero team.
Well, unfortunately, Marvel didn't think ahead on that point, so he's here now. and I wonder how much they'll have to undo his arc just to make it
Oh my god,
work in this
really?
movie.
Mother
Hmm.
fucking dumbass motherfuckers.
Yeah, this is the thing. Either don't have him here, or they have to basically make his arc repeat again. So
The worst, like, if this was a prequel, which it can't be because John Walker's here as the U.S. agent.
yeah,
So,
they're stuck between a rock and a hard place.
every time. Seriously,
And
no one-
again, I must point out, given how much, how low the enthusiasm is for this movie, you're already playing on hard mode and you can't even do the basic shit right.
seriously, like, did no one in the meeting make mention of this?
Apparently not.
It's so,
Or they got overruled and fired, which is also possible, I guess.
those dumbasses wonder why no one likes their fucking movies anymore.
Again, like, I'm grateful that Agatha was good. I hope for the sake of the people who like Daredevil that the Daredevil Born Again show is good. But I have absolutely no interest in anything that is currently scheduled for the MCU because they have yet to even make an attempt at Blade. There's no plans to do like a follow-up to Werewolf by Night. God only knows if and when they'll use anything related to Agatha again. And they still haven't brought up a Doctor Strange 3. Although honestly I would prefer they wait until the Multiverse Saga is over to do Doctor Strange 3. Because Doctor Strange shouldn't be dealing with alternate universes, he should be dealing with parallel dimensions and alternate planes and shit.
Okay, so what was that? Right, I said I was going to talk a little bit. Maybe we can discuss it more as we go on. Some ideas might pop in as we're watching, but my pre-vision rewrite, pre-revision? It can't be a rewrite, technically, because I haven't watched the movie. Pre-write. And we've had discussions about this plenty of times. Bounced Rise, because the Thunderbolts has a lot of potential.
Yep, especially if they combine it a little bit with the Dark Avengers and have basically every major character in the Avengers have a, like, quote-unquote evil surrogate.
Right. Right,
Agatha's the surrogate for Wanda.
Hold on.
Mordo's...
Don't. Before we get into the roster, we gotta like kind of think of the concept of Thunderbolts here and how it would work. Okay, so let's say in the hypothetical like revision of the MCU post Infinity War, and obviously if we're keeping the idea of having Endgame later, so we can build up the phase first, and Thunderbolts is kind of supposed to be the Avengers for phase 4 or
phase 5.
Okay.
Because for some reason, and this didn't help either, that they just didn't bother to have a team up or Avengers style movie.
Right. I just now realizing that. It's weird. What was I saying? Okay, yeah, it's supposed to be that. Okay, so Stark Avengers, I believe, was supposed to be a state-sanctioned superhero team. In the comics, at least, it was like a U.S.-sanctioned superhero team, like Avengers under the American government.
Right, and you already had the freaking what the fuck is her name? Sharon Carter, like recruiting people in.
No, that's Contessa. No, what was her name?
Francesca Allegra de Fontaine.
Thank you. She's in here. She's supposed to be the Nick Fury here.
Right, yeah. If she's recruiting, then we could have easily seen her at the end of Ant-Man and the Wasp, We could have easily seen her at the end of WandaVision.
Funny enough.
Uh,
Sorry, I don't mean to. Just some like fun little side note there.
Yeah.
Comics wise, like early, I don't know if it was the 60s or 70s, but back when Nick Fury had his own series, he and Allegra De Fontaine.
Yeah.
Okay, were lovers.
You missed Francesca, but yeah.
Fantastic. Okay, sorry. It's a long fucking name, man.
Yes.
I don't.
Honestly, I don't think they do enough with her character, given how awesome that name is.
They kind of made her bland, to be fair, because I believe she was like a femme fatale spy.
Right, but like, okay,
wise.
so set up for Thunderbolts though.
Right. Okay, so hold on. I'm sorry. I was just I'm just trying to run it back with like the things we were like taking note of what we were saying before, just so I'm on same page here. Okay, Dark Avengers, U.S. sanctioned superhero team under the jurisdiction of the U.S. government, mixed with the Thunderbolt, which was like a superhero team made up of villains that were covertly hiding as superheroes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the easiest place to start things off would be, considering that we still have absolutely no fucking idea what White Vision did after he fucked off at the end of WandaVision.
Mm-hmm.
I would make him the villain. And
antagonist. I don't know, villain.
Okay, but yeah, okay, because it's a cast basically made of all villains. But point being, because of all the abilities that Vision has and how he's unstable now, coping with sort of the integration of his old identity with his current programming.
Mm-hmm.
You need to bring together people with various skills in order to counter it, which solves another problem of this movie, which is there are too many goddamn super soldiers.
Right.
But okay, so you have
okay, okay, so we're clear. So we have Francesca Allegra De Fontaine, right?
Yes.
Who kind of plays our Nick Fury / recruiter for the team.
Yeah. And then
we have, actually, okay, funnily enough, with the Phase 4 thing, right? Because we have those characters show up, we could, because she's also kind of supposed to be an inverse of Nick Fury in this case, right?
In a sense, sure.
Well, like personality and stuff, like how she operates with those characters.
Right.
Where Nick Fury was kind of the friend to the Avengers and an ally.
She's going a more Amanda Waller-esque route.
Yeah, I didn't want to say Amanda Waller, but it honestly feels like that. Yeah.
Because that is basically what we're working with. So obviously, if she's recruiting a team to stop White Vision, the first place for her to show up, obviously, is in Westview post Hex.
Right.
So she gets Agatha. She probably recruits Mordo to help her get out of Wanda's Hex that she put her under at the end of WandaVision.
Would it be okay? Sorry, I don't. Would it be Mordo?
Yes, he's the only evil Doctor Strange. So Mordo.
I know, but would he help? Is like the question. Like, would he release the? Was it enchantment or spell? Is it enchantment or spell?
It's a hex.
Hex. Okay, sorry.
In any case, if we're going with the Amanda Waller-ish, you'll do what I say or I'll fucking kill you route.
Right.
I'm assuming, like we said, that she's not soft pedaling this. She's going to put their backs against the metaphorical wall.
Okay.
So yeah, Mordo presumably gets recruited in a post-credit scene of Multiverse of Madness or some version of Multiverse of Madness. Then Ghost gets quote unquote pardoned for the events of Ant-Man and the Wasp, and she gets recruited.
I don't know.
Then Falcon and the Winter Soldier happens, and John Walker comes in.
To be fair, we could, because okay, yes, Amanda Waller-ish, but she's also a manipulator.
Right.
So we can keep actually the same scene of her and stuff from Falcon and the Winter Soldier, actually, because that seems to work. Because
Right.
he is a soldier.
That
Yeah.
works pretty much.
Yeah, he's a soldier without who he was made. He was a guy without a purpose, basically, and he was.
Then Black Widow happens. That gives them Yelena and Red Guardian to be Black Widow.
To be fair, it seemed like Francesca and Yelena had worked together before.
Okay,
actually.
so yeah, they're either already on the docket or post-credit scene in Black Widow. But in any case, so Agatha is our surrogate for Wanda. Mordo is our surrogate for Doctor Strange. Yelena is our surrogate for Black Widow. Red Guardian John Walker is our surrogate for Cap, and Red Guardian is our surrogate for the Winter Soldier.
And I had some changes specifically because I didn't want to keep Taskmaster. Just to me, it didn't make sense.
Mm-hmm.
For Falcon, if we were doing a surrogate for Falcon, it would have been the Vulture. Yes, I would have kept him in the same universe because
that literally amounted to nothing and will never amount to nothing because that universe is shit.
It gives me a fucking migraine every time I think about it.
It does. Okay, and because I am who I am, I now have to rant about this. It doesn't even make sense given the spell that they were either doing or undoing, because Vulture is native to the main MCU universe.
Right.
Anyway. And is not from another universe. So why is he being teleported out when all the other villains are sent home?
Right. Anyway, yeah, so it was US Agent. And I'm calling Yelena Red Widow. I don't okay, I get it, she is a Black Widow, but Red Widow it gives her a different title while still carrying the mantle of her sister. And also, it's a character from the comics, which helps. That is part of the Winter Guard, which is like the Russian equivalent to the Avengers, and that could set up a MCU Winter Guard with Red Guardian.
Yeah.
And also, I wrote the idea of like an explanation that she gets that name. She chooses that name as also a reminder of what she did for the Red Room.
Right, and then you have Ghost kind of taking Ant-Man's slot, or the Wasp, depending.
I mean, you could also make it, given her phasing ability, Vision, kinda.
I mean, it does make sense given that White Vision is the antagonist here. You'd need somebody who could have the potential to outphase him or have a. Actually, that's a really cool fucking fight scene idea. Now that I'm thinking of it.
Yeah.
Ghost and Vision having a phase fight.
Now I'm realizing it with Vulture, because he's a master thief and a mechanical engineer, right?
Mm-hmm. So he would be useful for the actual either reprogramming or shutting him down when they
studying of his tech, basically. Although he would also have connections to the criminal underground, given how long he had worked and being like a weapons dealer and stuff.
Right, and so on. So that works.
Yeah.
And of course,
Agatha and Mordo. Okay, hold on. That's Ghost, Guardian.
And Emil Blonsky, Abomination for the Hulk surrogate.
Yeah. Is that like 8?
Let's see, how many?
Okay, U.S. Agent, Yelena, Red Guardian, Vulture, uh,
Ghost.
Ghost, Agatha, and Mordo. Or do you want to keep one? Or do you want to do both?
No, we kind of have to do both because there are
Okay.
2 magic users on the Avengers we have to be surrogate for.
Okay. Agatha and Mordo. Abomination. Yeah, that's 8.
That's
I feel like that's enough.
yeah. I think because okay, so we have super soldiers taken care of because John Walker and Red Guardian. We have Black Widow taken care of. We have either Ant-Man or Vision taken care of, depending on how you use Ghost. We have Doctor Strange taken care of, and Wanda taken care of. So that takes care of both sides of the mystical side of stuff.
I mean, we are missing Hawkeye, which I guess could have been Taskmaster, but I feel like it's not necessary.
We could do Zemo for Hawkeye.
I mean, what is? Mm, I'm just trying to figure out why he would be recruited, though. That's the question. Because I don't think he would want to work with like 2 super soldiers.
Right.
I don't want to.
Okay.
It feels like it would be shoehorning him in. To be fair,
Yeah.
although Zemo is a major character with the Thunderbolts, playing Citizen V, but I just don't think it would work here.
Yeah. Like Yelena already takes care of the like hand-to-hand specialty thing. So
And to be fair, Zemo never really. I mean, he has like in Falcon and Winter Soldier, he was able to shoot a few people, but he never struck me as a marksman.
what about Claw? Ulysses Claw.
He's dead.
Oh shit! Right. So
Okay, I might have one.
Namor is a surrogate for Thor, maybe.
Dude, I think we got a big enough roster. Like, I feel like it's shoehorning at this point.
Right. I'm just trying to make sure because okay, Magic's taken care of. Quantum nonsense is taken care of. Super soldiers are taken care of. Hulks are taken care of. Hand-to-hand specialty / assassin is taken care of. Are there any other? Because we're missing Cosmic, and I think that's it. Something cosmic.
I don't think we need that for this story. To be fair,
Right. Okay.
I think you're thinking a little too far ahead. To be fair,
I mean, okay, yeah, but actually, going back to the thing I was saying earlier about Namor. Vision's body is vibranium.
Oh,
So
well, okay.
that could
The question. Here's the thing, though. Logically speaking, how would Allegra Francesca even get into contact with Namor?
point. Fair enough.
And 2, well, actually, it could be for a sequel, but Thunderbolts could be sent after Namor, and I forget the name of the city.
Talocan.
Talocan, thank you. Given what happened in Wakanda and the research station.
Yeah. is there? Can we get anyone from the Wakandan side of things? You think?
No, most of the
The
bad guys. Killmonger's dead.
Okay, Killmonger's dead. Manape's not really a
Villain.
not really a villain at the moment.
Well,
So
M'Baku, because Manape is.
because they couldn't get away with calling him Manape. But yeah, so yeah, eight teammate roster here.
And it's actually a pretty stacked team, to be fair.
Yeah, because I mean we've got we to paraphrase Tony's meme here. We have a Hulk. We have
Weirdly enough, they're actually made of like former Thunderbolts. The iteration we're talking about here, this roster we've come up with, has a good amount of ex-soldiers.
without doubling down too much on Super Soldier.
No, I know, but
Yeah.
a lot of them are expert tacticians. So that's interesting. Like, I mean, they're all various different types of soldiers from different eras and different backgrounds
Right.
in terms of being soldiers. I mean, Emil Blonsky is, I believe he was former SAS, not SAS, Special Air Service. I could be wrong on that.
I believe so. Okay. Yeah. So, yeah, we've got two magic users, one quantum weirdness user.
So
We've got three super, or 2 or 3 super soldiers. Am I miscounting?
no, two. I don't know if you yeah. Well, MCU Abomination was given a variation of the super soldier serum, and then
well, so was Bruce, but he still counts as a separate thing than Cap.
Yeah.
Like the Hulks are very much their own thing.
Yeah.
Even though
hold on. Sorry. Originally, he was given a super soldier serum before he was made into a Hulk. Emil Blonsky. So he's a gamma powered super soldier.
Still, he checks the Hulk box more than he does.
Okay. So yeah, let's just say Hulk. Let's just say.
Yeah. So yeah, So we have 2 magic users, two super soldiers, 1 quantum science weirdness,
1 super spy.
Yeah, 1 assassin / spy.
1 aerial dude, one guy who could fly.
Yeah, the aerial or aeronautics specialist, which I mean they are gonna need because Vision do be floating.
Yeah, I think Agatha can also technically fly or
levitate.
Well,
yeah, Agatha can. One assumes that her and Mordo's main purpose here is 1 to prevent Vision's various powers from biting them on the ass, and 2 to help integrate the magic that White Vision got from Construct Vision, so that he stops going fucking programming haywire.
Yeah.
And then, of course, Ghost does her. She kind of counters him in the weird quantum science territory.
Like a phase, like 2 characters who can phase.
Yeah, the phase fight. It is such a cool.
Well, okay, because you gotta think about
phase fighting.
Okay, because it all boils down to effectively fighting styles then, because their powers even each other out. Ghost is a high class assassin who is also an expert martial artist.
Yeah. So that does.
Vision is. Sorry.
Vision is a super weapon, basically.
Yeah. So he technically doesn't have any fighting skills.
Well, I mean, he went in his original programming, but part of the thing that makes White Vision so dangerous is because he's basically running two contradictory sets of code, because the information that Construct Vision basically quote unquote downloaded into his arc reactor with whatever remained of the Mind Stone's energy plus Wanda's chaos magic.
Right. Also, I think just all their interactions would be really interesting.
I'm curious about, well, of course, because I'm me, I'm curious about this, but Agatha's interactions with Mordo, I think, just them playing off each other and their two very different approaches to magic, and this would also be a good excuse to fucking better outline why magic and sorcery or why sorcery and witchcraft are different. But you have Mordo who post Doctor Strange wants to siphon off everyone else's mystical energy to basically juice himself up, and then you have Agatha whose whole thing is she can take the magic of anyone who blasts her. So I could see there being like a fight scene between the two of them where they're both trying to siphon the other's energy away. And it's sort of a I'm gonna get you before you get me thing. This would have to be after they've defeated White Vision or reprogrammed him, but I do like the idea of there being like a third act misunderstanding between those two where they're like, I'm gonna get you before you get me thing.
I'm also just realizing something. Given how old Agatha is, right?
Yeah.
And I don't know, did she stay to America or did she travel the world?
We don't know. Lilia in Agatha All Along refers to her as the single most infamous witch on this continent.
Okay.
And then Teen makes a quip about name a badder bitch in Europe or South America. But I want to say she probably stayed close to home, relatively speaking. Because I don't. Because
either way. Sorry,
yeah,
I don't mean to cut you off, but what I was getting at is like I'm just thinking of a funny scene between Red Guardian and Agatha. Because to be fair, it strikes me, given the characterization of Alexei, that he is somewhat superstitious.
Yeah, I imagine there's going to be a lot of Baba Yaga jokes here.
And I think Agatha, just being the chaos gremlin that she is, would play into that.
I mean, taking Agatha All Along as the example, remember when in the divination trial they all got cosplayed into various different witch icons, and Agatha was dressed as the Wicked Witch of the West, and she literally goes, "She's based on me," which just it may be that Agatha was joking because she likes stroking her own ego, but I kind of want that to be canon in the MCU.
I mean, she got her ass kicked by water, so.
Well, I mean, in the symbolic parlance of the Witch's Road, water means potions, so maybe someone poisoned her at some point.
Again, it's like with these kind of movies, like team up movies, it's always the interactions that I find the most interesting. Because you got so many different personalities.
Yeah, and it's also a great excuse to pad out world building.
Yeah.
Like ideas that didn't get fully explored in other things.
Also, just imagining like Michael Keaton's Adrian Toomes here, like honestly, weirdly enough, he would be the most normal guy out of everyone there.
Right, basically.
Like in terms
sorry,
of,
I'm just sorry. My brain is stuck on thinking about things vis-a-vis like Agatha and Mordo.
Mm.
Because if we go with what happened in Agatha all along, the fact that once she got out of the spell, she didn't have any of her juice left because Wanda took it. That means that for most of the runtime, she would basically be without power. So, what if instead of reprogramming Vision's, or instead of adjusting the energy that White Vision got from Construct Vision like she's supposed to, she tries to feed on it because that's part Mind Stone energy, part Wanda's Chaos magic. So if she wants to get her juice back, and White Vision probably would blast her with the the Mind Stone laser, which in his case is powered by an arc reactor. But you get what I'm saying. He would blast her without thinking of it, and she would get
Right.
some juice off of that. I really want to see this movie now.
I
Such a
don't.
better idea than this one.
A part of me's thinking that John and Alexei wouldn't like each other much. At first, at least.
Yeah, because he's all America hoorah, and Alexei is a proud child of Mother Russia, etc.
I don't know if that was the characterization of John Walker. If we're going off the characterization of John Walker in
Falcon and Winter Soldier.
Yeah, sorry, I lost the name there for a sec.
Yeah.
He wasn't like.
But he's at the very least suffering from severe PTSD.
Yeah. I do see. Here's really enough. I see he could. He's not the inverse of Steve Rogers. Well, he is to an extent, but not.
Yeah, not quite as explicitly as you'd think. Yeah, I get what you're saying.
No. Because he was a soldier. He went through stuff in the war before he became a super soldier.
And as Erskine said, good becomes great, bad becomes worse.
I would say in John's case, he was damaged, like scars and wounds on his soul or whatever.
And then the super soldier serum basically came in and ripped the scab off of all his wounds.
I would say open the wounds, reopen them again.
Yeah.
And it doesn't help that like soon after he took that, he was effectively on the high of having superpowers.
Yeah.
Like who wouldn't? His best friend is killed right in front of him.
And then he does the whole smashing someone into the pavement with a shield thing.
Yeah. So,
which I'm assuming that throughout this movie the Thunderbolts are gonna grow closer.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. I mean, it makes sense. Because here's the weird thing with all these characters, and I would argue most of them are. I mean, some of them are villains. Let's be fully honest on that.
Yeah.
But like with with like Red Guardian, Yelena, John, maybe Adrian, maybe.
Right. But sorry, my brain came up with an idea. I'm trying to get to it. So these guys develop kind of the asshole found family relationship over the course of the movie, as you do. Would Agatha help John with his mental issues? Because she can do that. She has the one like mind control spell, the Henio Imperium Anhi spell. So assuming that these guys get to the point where they at least like each other, I could see her trying to help him with the PTSD thing.
I feel like I don't deny that it would be something that would happen. It's just I feel like it would be bloated in the first movie because you kind of have to keep it.
I
Really-
mean, I was kind of proceeding under the assumption that this was going to be kind of a one-off and that there weren't going to be sequels. But I guess if you wanted there to be sequels, then sure, we could save it for later. Once, like, if we're kind of doing the assholes become slightly reformed assholes from Guardians type thing.
Right,
I
would
guess you could
say,
say
like,
I guess you could say
hold
that
on.
for the
and I,
sorry.
it's fine, and I get what you were saying. To be fair, that feels like something that would be in a sequel because I don't feel because we see more of the formation of their bond in the first movie than we would. I just that kind
Right.
of thing.
Here was my thought process though. Like
Okay.
imagine this is, the third act. Kind of the beat that I'm thinking this would kind of be is the We Are Groot scene from Guardians 1. Like they're winning, and then White Vision, who has at least some energy from the Mind Stone, zaps John, and he starts going through a severe panic attack. And then Agatha reaches in his mind and helps him with PTSD. Because that I mean, it would be sort of the first evidence of that growing bond. Again, think of the We Are Groot scene.
I was taking a drink of water. It's not a bad idea. Like, here's the thing. Honestly, this feels like all the ideas we're coming up. It feels more like the Thunderbolts should be like a Disney Plus miniseries than anything.
I mean,
Than a movie.
it would have to have a fuck of a budget though if they were going to turn it into a series.
Right. I'm just saying though, like it. I think we're trying to expand too much with this, and because it's.
Well, but that's the thing. That's what this franchise should do and be.
No, I
Not-
agree. I'm not
not
disagreeing.
9 super soldiers and one non-super soldier.
No, I'm not trying to argue with you on that. I agree full-heartedly. I'm just
But
saying,
I don't think you need to. But I don't. The thing is, I don't think you need the padding because it worked. It worked with Guardians. It worked with Ragnarok at least to some degree. You can do a team movie and have it still just be a movie or a trilogy of movies or whatever.
okay, I'm just.
The reason I'm vetoing the series idea is because I think that has the opposite problem. There's too much time to fill, and so they would resort to padding.
Okay, no, that's fair. That's fair. I agree with that. Again, I just feel like you got to understand how I'm viewing this, right? Like all the
Mhm.
ideas we're coming up with. I'm not disagreeing that they don't work. They do work. They're good ideas.
Mhm.
I'm just saying that given on average a Marvel movie like this is what? Roughly 2.5 hours long, right?
Yeah, especially
most-
especially on the longer side for the team up movies. Yeah,
Right. Okay, 215 if to be on average actually.
yeah, but it would probably be closer to 230 because again, it is supposed to be an Avenger style team up movie.
Right. Okay, fair enough. With the time that is, we have an 8-character roster of, let's be fully honest, some of the characters were not well liked in those movies. So you have to build those characters up in this movie,
Yeah.
and build the bond and camaraderie between them. And let's also again be fully honest on this. With the first Avengers, some characters got some spotlight more than others. With this, I do want at least to be fairly equal. Obviously, some are going to, because some are like main characters in some form or fashion, like a protagonist, like a POV. You know what I mean, right?
Mhm.
So I'm just trying to think. So yes, most of that time has to be allotted to one, obviously pushing the story forward, and also building up the characters and their dynamics and relationships.
Okay,
Um,
so in the vein of figuring the dynamics out here,
mhm.
I think we're basically in agreement that this needs to be a like globe trotting chase movie. Why can I not speak today?
Yes.
So the question, I suppose, is what is White Vision's motivation for? What is he looking for? What is he trying to gather, or what is he trying to obtain that results in
Um,
him kind of running and forcing them to chase him all over the world?
okay, well, if we're to go from the last scene of WandaVision with White
Mhm.
Vision and Vision, right?
Yeah. He gets all
Remember
this new data and he panics.
and leaves. Like, right, okay. But
Yeah.
before that, there's the ship of Theseus, which was a philosophical discussion between the two, right?
Yeah.
So with that added information, which are effectively, let's just say, memories of Construct Vision and stuff,
Yeah.
all of that compounded with the conflicting programming of what is effectively just a soulless automaton that was White
Y-
Vision
y- Yeah,
originally.
Haywood's programming bastardization.
Right. Okay. Um, he could be. Okay, well, I guess the standard thing would be like a robot searching for a soul, effectively. So maybe he's going across the world to places that he remember that
That
Hex Magic,
construct vision gave him, yeah.
yeah, which would have also been Wanda's effectively memories of Vision. Maybe like places they had gone together while Wanda was on the run. Um,
Or
after. My, okay,
uh,
please say.
yeah, one thing here is if we're kind of running with the ship of Theseus,
Mm-hmm.
is in Age of Ultron, every Avenger contributed something to his creation, basically. You had
Right.
the vibranium that kind of symbolizes Cap. Obviously, Tony was the programming and etc.
Yeah, Jarvis.
Thor's lightning,
Gave
gave
him life.
him life. The Mind Stone, etc.
What did
Um,
they,
well,
what
Banner helped Tony get
with
the Mind Stone to work. Was the logic?
well no, he integrated he did kind of like the biotech stuff.
Yeah, the synthezoid stuff.
Yeah, thank you.
So
Um, and what?
pieces of Vision come from different places. So if he's trying to figure out where how the ship of Theseus breakdown works, I could see him going to a source of one of the one of the Avengers who helped give him life in the first place's stuff. So he could maybe go to Bruce Banner's lab and New Asgard after Ragnarok and so on to kind of
Yeah,
get
basically
stuff.
he's going. Basically, if we were telling the story from White Vision's perspective, which there actually is a series coming out called Vision Quest about that.
I really hope that doesn't suck. I fear it might, though.
Yeah. I'm not gonna say he's going on Vision Quest because, well, I just mentioned the show, so. But
Yeah,
he's on a quest of self-discovery across the world, basically a pilgrimage.
He's trying to define who and what he is, his identity.
Yeah. And granted, I like the idea. Mainly, we don't. Okay, hear me out. We don't see much of the perspective of Vision, White Vision, for most of the movie. Obviously, because we got like 8.
Yeah, I think
characters.
most of Vision comes in with them trying to talk him down.
But my point, obviously, because Marvel loves to do the twist villain, and we can do it right here.
Hmm.
Well, what if the Thunderbolts are just there by Francesca? They are told that White Vision poses a danger, which I guess isn't technically a lie because he is a weapon
He is
designed.
dangerous. Yeah.
Yeah, but
She wants him. She wants to reclaim him and then make him her
her weapon.
her pawn. Yeah, her weapon.
Yeah. And again, that separates her more from Nick Fury in terms of a divide of how the characters operate.
Right. Yeah.
But what I was going to
Go ahead.
But she's basically using the Thunderbolts as well, effectively. Yeah. But White Vision. Hold on.
She's using them in the same way Moriarty uses the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. If you've ever seen that movie,
Of course. Think I wouldn't watch a movie like that?
it came out in 2003, and it's a relatively obscure movie. I didn't know if you've seen it yet or not.
I've heard that. Well, I know it's based off comics, but from what I've gathered from reviews I've seen of the comics, the movie might be better.
Yeah, I would have to agree. I actually have the omnibus
Comics?
for League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, and now, mind you, it's also worth noting that that I saw the movie before I read the comics, but I do think the movie was better in certain ways. Regardless, but yeah, she's basically doing what Moriarty did with the League.
Yeah. I was gonna say something. Yeah, but more or less because we're effectively, for most of the movie, we're experiencing from the perspective of the Thunderbolts, right?
Yeah.
So therefore, they're told or see the aftermath of what White Vision is doing when he visits those places, right?
Mm-hmm.
But technically, they're not given context of what happens, because my idea is that White Vision never really engages with anyone unless he's engaged first, because he's just there to find out what is going on with him, what he is, who he is, why is he.
And then his instability is what triggers the action scenes.
Yeah.
They try to talk him down, they try to trap him, they try to, get in close so they can reprogram him, and he freaks out, has kind of a schizoid freak out moment because his programming is conflicting with his new memories, and I guess old memories, depending on how you want to put it. And how it might even also be the case that, like, the magical energies that Construct Division gave him and the, like, machinery of his actual body can't coexist long term, and they might be corrupting each other almost. If you know what I mean.
Just realized something. For one thing, we could do a cameo with Sharon Carter.
Yeah.
Like cameo, just a cameo, because I don't really see her really being like a main feature. She could be like a supporting cast member throughout if we do a full trilogy here.
Yeah, but I don't think we should. Yeah, we already have 8 characters and an antagonist to deal with.
Right.
That's
but
probably enough.
She could give some of the she could give the characters upgrades, like tech upgrades and stuff, like Vulture, new wings and stuff. Because for one thing, I do like the idea that they take on superhero personas rather than being, the classic.
So
they're
I don't know about that part. But
okay, tell me why. Why do you not? Okay, I hold on.
I'm okay with the part of the idea that has her being their Q, but I don't think. For one thing, even most of the superheroes in the MCU don't have secret identities. So it kind of
They're
seems
all-
silly for them to all of a sudden have them.
That's okay. That is how the Thunderbolts worked. Okay,
Yeah, but we're also
hold on. Let me hold on. May I explain the reason why I'm saying that they take on superhero personas
okay.
before we have this discussion? Okay. Most of them are convicted criminals that are being effectively let out to commence some type of clandestine operations for the American government. The American government never likes to be implicated that they're the bad guys, ever. Right?
Right.
Hold on. This is also, okay, again, going with the fact that the Avengers are effectively not here in the 5 years, because this does take place in 5 years, right?
Right.
Fuck it. I know, actually, that complicates things, given one Avengers. God damn it. Okay. Let's just roll with it before I give
Okay.
myself a headache trying to make everything work. But
yeah,
my thing is, well, Francesca would like to have a team of heroes that she can control and effectively push
but
the
they're
Avengers
not.
out. Okay.
Th-
Please go.
They're not heroes for one thing. It's specifically their anti-hero qualities that she's after them for. Like that's what makes them useful to her. One,
Right.
and
Okay.
again, two very important details here. One, almost nobody in the MCU has secret identities, and two, you'd have to make up new ones for most of them because most of them don't have secret identities even in the comics. Moreover, the fact that they want it to be clandestine is a good reason for them not to draw attention to themselves, but it's not a good reason to create false identities. Like that could even be a dynamic in the movie where they have to avoid they have to be as like indirect and like draw as little attention to themselves as possible. But again, an excuse to have an excuse to be discreet is not an excuse to create false identities.
Okay. May I speak now?
Sorry, go ahead. Yeah.
Thank you. And we've spent so long talking about this, but again, the original. I know we are combining the Dark Avengers and Thunderbolts with this, but you gotta keep in mind the concept of the Thunderbolts itself originally was designed that a group of villains masqueraded themselves as heroes.
Right, but I don't understand why you're so fixated on that part.
Please hear me out before you interrupt me. I'm not trying to be a dick. I just want to get my point across before we have a discussion.
Go ahead.
Thank you. Again, I guess why, just to answer your question about the hyperfixating of it.
Because I would just ditch that part if I were you. I would just get rid of that part.
May I? Please just hear me out. Okay? I'm not. I realize I'm not going to change your mind because you are stubborn like that. I say that as your friend. But I'm just going to ask that you hear me out. So we have this discussion. Okay?
Go on.
For one thing, I'm trying to look at it from an in-world perspective, right? The Avengers are effectively scattered or no more, right?
That's sort of exactly why I don't think it works, because it seems like an out of universe detail you're trying to force because you want it to steer closer to the original Thunderbolts, and I don't see any in-universe logic as to why they would.
Don, may I finish my point? Because I have not said my point.
Get on with it, please.
Thank you. The point I'm trying to make is from in my head, at least, in the way I'm thinking it. Okay, let's keep that in mind. How my thought process for it went. Okay? If it is wrong, fine. I'll accept that. Okay. Okay, actually, now that I'm thinking about it, yeah, it at least for a first movie, it doesn't work with everything else we've had thought of. I could see it kind of being implemented again if this were to be into a series or into a movie trilogy or something. This idea could work later on. Possibly. Okay, please humor me on that. That could
Right.
be a possible.
Honestly, the best way I could see something like this working is if the public erroneously starts mistaking them for heroes.
Okay. Thank you. I wasn't
Like,
trying to have like a full-on argument there.
yeah, because the part that's really screwing or was really screwing with my head was I don't see any reason why Francesca would even bother with the whole false hero front. But if
Well,
I
actually,
would
I might
I would
have.
actually. But
Sorry,
okay,
I'm sorry. Yeah,
let me
please
let,
finish your. Yeah, please.
yeah,
Sorry.
let me finish
Okay.
my point first.
Yeah.
But what I could see happening, and this would actually be a really interesting detail if we had Thunderbolts 3 happen after Endgame. We could have the public siding with the Thunderbolts more because they have done enough good things in Thunderbolts 1 and 2 for the Thunderbolts to start having a reputation similar to the Avengers. And then and hear me out on this. Thunderbolts 3 is a Thunderbolts versus Avengers movie because once the snap is undone and everybody's back and the Avengers are back in business. Imagine being the Avengers after 5 years of being disbanded, and then all your worst enemies are working together, and
Celebrated as heroes.
the public is celebrating them as heroes, and I might be borrowing a little bit from Black Adam here. If the dynamic between the Thunderbolts and the Avengers is similar to the dynamic between Hawkman and Black Adam in Black Adam, that could be really cool. The idea of the anti-hero aspects of the Thunderbolts is something that people actually like about the Thunderbolts.
Right. No, it's a good idea, and I think we were just going around in a circle before we really thought of it, like really thinking about it. But the idea I originally had was why Francesca wanted the fake hero thing, right? Again, given the turmoil and craziness that the world was going in within those 5 years and shit, right? It's stupid. I'm not gonna lie, but and this is kind of me being like a political thriller or like big fan of those kind of things. She would control the narrative in terms of the public view and stuff. Again, I realize how stupid it sounds as I've said it.
I mean, it's not a terrible idea on paper. It just does, and this is one of the reasons I was varying degrees of confused, was because at least after Iron Man 2, Spider-Man notwithstanding, there really has been no need for secret identities, and I don't know what orifice she would have to pull that out of to think that even needed to be a thing, especially considering that a lot of the Thunderbolts members are, public enemies for various reasons.
Right.
But if you do it in the way I was suggesting, like the first movie, obviously, she's going to insist on them being as discreet and the least public as possible. Then
Funny enough.
something would
Sorry.
need to happen in Thunderbolts 2 for them to, need to be more public so that the I was going to say the audience, but the populace of the MCU would start then seeing them in a similar light to the way they see the Avengers, and then you bring Thunderbolts 3 in post Endgame and have it be a essentially kind of a quasi Civil War type thing where it's the Thunderbolts versus the Avengers, and then like I say, you bring in the Black Adam aspect where it's like some members of the public actually like the Thunderbolts' more anti-heroic
Yeah.
tendencies.
Yeah, no, and that makes sense. That makes a lot more sense than I guess what I was really saying. So I guess the question would be: would they still have their like villain personas, or would they? Because Nano V Movies, a YouTuber I watch who does like a lot of pitches for like superhero movies.
I've seen him too.
Yeah, not a bad guy. I don't think we really agree on a lot of things outside of certain ideas regarding some movies that could be better. But yeah, he did a full like pre-write of the Thunderbolts like I think 2 years ago, and he'd come up with the idea to explain why to combine both like the Thunderbolts as like the Marvel Suicide Squad, which has been like in recent years how they've been made, which I don't particularly like, mind you.
Well, I mean, yeah, but it's kind of obvious that the success of Suicide Squad is what made Kevin Feige want to greenlight this movie. Like,
No. This was like in the comics way before even like the Suicide Squad, like any of the movies came out.
Yeah, I'm sure it was, but I mean,
that's why,
in terms of why it was greenlit for the MCU, I'm sure.
No, that's
somebody
fair.
pitched Kevin Feige, we can do our own Suicide Squad, and he was like, yes.
That's fair. I'm just saying I don't particularly like that given the original incarnation of the Thunderbolts and the idea behind that. But what was it? Fuck, I was gonna say something.
In the meantime, we still haven't even done another section of the trailer.
Okay, it'll come to me as we get through it. So
yeah, banana. Oh god. And this was going to be a shorter episode.
That's what they talk about!
I don't really have anything to say on this. It's just that actually, although it looks pretty good, like for action.
Right. But yeah, banana.
That's not good.
How crazy is it to think of all the monumental...
Oh, hold on. Sorry. Because I mentioned like an hour ago that when we got a better look at Alexi's suit, I would talk about it just because I don't like the design for it because it's. There might be a better shot, but since we got like a full like an upper torso look here, I hate how it's been more like made into separate pieces instead of like a full suit. It looks like cheap cosplay of the original costume.
Yeah, they've been having that problem a lot recently with a lot of the newer character designs. I don't know who was like the costume equivalent of Edna Mode for the MCU, but either they're slipping in recent years or it's a different person now.
Also, and again, no offense to any cosplayers. Honestly, I think cosplayers do a lot better job than most movie wardrobe designers lately. Although, I'll be fully honest, I'm not.
Yeah.
Again, I honestly think it just boils down to like the upper management thinking that they're creative motherfuckers and actually
And failing utterly at being that, yeah.
no, just completely hampering the actually creative motherfuckers there.
Well, and the other issue of, at least in the old days, it seemed like loyalty to the comics mattered to the MCU, whereas, as we know from that one dude interview with was it IGN or Screen Junkies, the guy who said, we are explicitly looking for people who do not like or have no familiarity with the comics now.
Why?
And then they're surprised. And then they're surprised that that backfires on their asses.
Wait, did we ever cover that?
Yes, we did. I think multiple times because it happened several times. I want to say it was. No, it was Collider. Collider was the ones who interviewed it. Yeah,
right.
Yeah,
okay,
the guy who said we're actively interested in people who don't like or have no interest in the comics. And they wonder why it keeps fucking backfiring on them.
How long did we cover that? Because it might not have been as long because I barely remember it.
I'm pretty sure we've covered it like 2 or 3 times because it
No,
happened.
I'm not saying that. I mean, like the Collider article itself. Was it like a short article? Because
no, it was fairly substantial.
Well, how long ago was it? Because that could also be a fact. I don't remember it.
Like 50-ish episodes ago, probably.
So roughly like maybe a year ago.
Yeah.
Okay, then that's probably why I don't remember it because I barely remember what I did like a couple days ago. So.
Yeah, that might be a problem. Anyway, but yeah, the stupid we want people who have no interest in the comics thing.
Also, I'm sorry. I'm still hung up on Red Guardian's costume.
Mm-hmm.
And it could just be the color grading or something.
Well, but this movie is very flat and very like washed out, so that's not helping either.
The red is so much darker. Like it was a lot more brighter.
Yeah, it doesn't. Widow, it's nowhere near as vibrant. Yeah, I see what you're saying.
Huh. Okay. Jump banana?
Yep, banana.
All the monumental fights that happened exactly here where you're standing. I mean, the place wasn't cheap, but it's got good optics. Look at you. You are all so adorable.
Oh, right. They're in Avengers Tower. Okay.
What?
Yeah, they're in Avengers Tower remodel. Remember, they sold Avengers Tower. Apparently, it looks like I think Francesca bought it, which she's supposed to be a CIA. How the fuck did she have that much money?
Or if she got it from the CIA, how in the fuck did she justify that expenditure? Because you have to do like spending reports and shit when you're an agent. If you requisition funds for something, you actually have to like make a note of it and like paperwork is filed and submitted and shit. So who the fuck did she? Who the fuck did she answer to that was like, oh yes, we will totally authorize the discretionary spending for you to buy the vacant Avengers Tower now?
Well, actually, to be fair, it's CIA talking about, and most of it's filled with like a bunch of douchebags with god complexes. So she might not have actually told anyone.
I mean, this is also true, but like again, I assume it cost like several $1 million.
I'm just saying, man. Like you gotta realize how corrupt the CIA is, right?
I know, but even from just the perspective of a paperwork grunt, she still would have had to have requisitioned the funding from somewhere. You can't just be like, I need $1 billion. Don't ask me why I need $1 billion. you have
it's like
to.
hold on. It's like it's a skyscraper in New York that the world's mightiest heroes occupied at one point.
Not to mention one of the world's foremost billionaires. And I don't suspect that the Stark Corporation sold it for undervalue or anything.
Although it strikes me as odd.
I imagine the answer was you will, especially given how important it was to Tony before obviously he sacrificed himself all nobly and shit in Endgame.
Yeah.
Like, given how important the Avengers and like Avengers Tower was to Tony, I can't imagine Pepper just being like, just take it off my hands, I'll give it to you at half price or anything. Especially if some CIA stooge came sniffing around and shit.
Okay, so now we have a full look of his costume. God, does it get worse?
Yeah, again, whoever was doing the costume design.
Okay, hold on. I'm sorry. I'm gonna
previous
pull up
years.
his. I'm gonna pull up Red Guardian's costume from Black Widow just for comparison's sake.
Uh-huh.
I know this.
I'm sorry, my brain is just flashing back to the Thunderbolts conversation we just had. And I almost wonder if there would be romantic chemistry between Agatha and Mordo. I could see them shacking up at some point.
All right. Hold on. I found an action figure version of it, but hold on. And everything just has to be so fucked up. Yeah, Red Guardian would take the place of Winter Soldier, right? Is that what we discussed that at some point? No.
Yeah, John Walker is Cap, Red Guardian is Bucky.
Yeah, that works honestly, and they're a nice inverse of the two.
Yeah, that's why we had it that way.
I was just trying to remember.
Yeah.
We talk about a lot of shit, man.
Yeah. John Walker is Cap. Red Guardian is Winter Soldier. Abomination is Hulk. Ghost is Vision or Ant-Man, depending on how you want to put it, or maybe both.
I mean, she doesn't shrink.
Mordo is a surrogate for Doctor Strange. Agatha is a surrogate for Wanda.
Okay. Best image I could find of him. Hold on, me. Sorry. It's bugging me because I used to draw a lot when I was a kid, so I know a little bit about character design.
Yeah.
Okay, this is what he looked like in Black Widow.
Uh-huh.
Simple.
Yeah.
I know, Don, you yourself can't really see it. I'm pulling up the video again. and it's also just, like super dark because of like the color grading and shit.
Again, the whole making it look as washed out and flat as possible is really dumb.
Yeah, but yeah, it's like they put on like a chest piece where the original didn't have that.
Yeah,
And-
why is that there? It's not really doing anything functional by the looks of it.
It's supposed to be. I think it's supposed to be like a chest armor piece, but it doesn't even look like it fits his body.
This is the thing. Wearing armor that doesn't fit you is actually dangerous if you're going into like violent situations. Because the whole point of the armor is supposed to be it gets between you and the dangerous shit. And that doesn't look like it fits him well enough to actually be effective as a piece of armor.
For the record, you're seeing the trailer, right? Like it wasn't frozen or anything on the image.
No, you're good. You're good.
Okay,
it's
okay.
fine.
I'm sorry. It's just like me and my internet shit. It's
Yeah.
just
Technology does hate us sometimes. I understand what you mean.
yeah. But let me switch it back to, and you notice how dull it looks, right?
Yeah.
Okay, look at the image.
It,
Granted,
yeah,
this is a promo. This is a promo piece, but look how bright that is.
it's a lot more eye catching in the design than this current one is, and I don't know why they would have made his. If anything, I would have gone the other route and make it perhaps even a little bit brighter and more eye catching. But then again,
to be fair, I also would have gotten rid of like a lot of the black lines, too.
yeah, they don't quite work. But there are ways they could have improved his Black Widow look to make it look better, but they went
like
in
the
the
black
complete
lines
opposite direction. It seems like
the black lines for like the shoulders, like the the ones there are fine. But like if you just have
Right.
like a full red chest and stuff,
right. But yeah, there are ways they could have plussed this
Like, you
design,
could-
and instead
they
they went in
really-
the opposite direction. It seems.
yeah, they erased the white too. I just noticed that. Like all the white as well.
Mm-hmm.
It's weird.
And
I feel like it's a good contrast.
I don't know why they didn't just use the same suit, because like
It looks good, right? Like
yeah, like if you don't want to improve it, that's fine, but you could have just left it alone. But it genuinely feels like someone went in the opposite direction for no good goddamn reason.
and I got nothing to say about like anyone else. I mean, U.S. Agent looks good because it's like the costume from what was shown from honestly, he had the best suit out of everyone in that show.
Yeah, honestly though, if you can't improve on it, just leave it the fuck alone, guys.
Yeah,
It's not that hard.
I don't really have anything to say about Taskmaster or Ghost because it just looks like.
Oh, I forgot they put Taskmaster in here.
I wonder how they're gonna do her character because she didn't have one in Black Widow.
You know what? I just thought of someone else that we could use in our Thunderbolts that we didn't think of.
Who?
Guy who served Amut in Moon Knight.
He's dead.
Shit.
Yeah, Marvel kills their villains. Remember, most of the time.
Thank God they didn't do that with Agatha.
Yeah. All right. Shall we? We got this. I forgot this is like 3 minutes and 40 seconds long.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I don't like. It makes no sense for me why Bucky's here.
Yeah, because he's not remotely in villain territory anymore, unless you regress his arc like a son of a bitch.
Yeah. Anyway.
Which I fear they might do because they're that dumb. But yes, Banana.
Eat shit, Valentina.
Oh, Valentina.
Said every has been hotel fan ever. floor.
Assignment is complete.
Valentina. Wait, is that one of her names?
I don't remember. Okay.
Fuck, did we
Valen-
fuck up? Have we been fucking up with
I
this
mean,
character?
I mean, I think we just forgot one. I think it might be Valentina Francesca Allegra de Fontaine.
Hold on. I'm just looking up the roster. Not the roster, the cast. Because I'll have
Yeah.
that name for the character. Ricky, stupid piece of shit.
If your computer wants to behave like something that's not
Oh, no,
a
it's my-
potato
it's
for 5 minutes.
No, it's my phone.
Okay.
Yeah. Although it's running on the internet. So, not my data.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Oh, fuck me sideways. I don't know why I'm yawning.
Okay. Valentina Allegra de Fontaine.
Okay, so not Francesca then.
Hold on, actually, I'm doing IDMB. I looked at like the Google thing. It didn't have the full name out. Okay, hold on. Valentina. Okay, yeah, Valentina Allegra de Fontaine.
Okay.
Where do we get Francesca from?
I don't know. It just sounds right in my head. Anyway, banana.
I'm not feeling anything here. It's like,
What kind of super serum did you get?
I don't know, regular. Hydra.
Hydra. Oh, fancy.
Who is this old Santa?
The Red Guardian.
What?
Everyone here has done bad things.
That makes me think of a badass Russian Santa Claus from Rise of the Guardian.
Contract kill.
well, David Harbour also played Santa in Violent Night, so
He did.
that might be a.
Yeah, comes full circle. Well,
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not feeling anything here.
I still can't believe they were. I still can't believe they're choosing to make something out of Taskmaster of all the stupid one-off villains.
Honestly, again, it would have worked if they just used the actual Taskmaster's personality, who's like a complete shit talker and just an asshole in the comics.
Yeah, he's a showboater.
Yeah.
It would also help if the team was more than
Super soldier?
like 10% non-super soldier.
Yeah.
Because the whole point of this kind of team up is supposed to be the different specialties and skills and shit.
Also, clashing personalities and worldviews and stuff.
Yeah, and there's only so much clashing worldview you can get with super soldier. I mean, okay, in theory, but like that's why
Okay,
in our
so-
version there's one that's a surrogate for Cap and one that's a surrogate for Bucky, because that way you can focus on what makes them unique and different from each other instead of making it so the fucking same. It's the same thing
okay,
with.
hold on. Don't.
Sorry.
What I was gonna say was I agree with the skills. I agree with the skill sets, like difference, because obviously they're two very different. Like, well, Bucky's an assassin. Red Guardian's technically a spy, technically, kind of, and
Yeah.
John Walker's just a regular soldier.
Right, but it's the same sort of logic as to why we have both Agatha and Mordo there. Not to mention, it would be excellent for the sake of world building to differentiate sorcery from witchcraft. But again,
Yeah.
I will stay beating that drum until the MCU fucking listens.
All right, shall we? Yeah.
And you, former Red Room assassin. God only knows the blood on your hands.
Pretty ludicrous coming from the dime store Captain America.
I'll have you know, it's actually the official Captain America, so.
Yeah, for like 2 seconds.
I mean, that banter was the first successfully funny thing in this entire trailer, I think.
Again, their chemistry, like everyone's chemistry, actually is pretty good.
Although John missed a trick by reminding her that Alexi is also a dime store Captain America. That probably would have been the more successful bantering on his part.
Yeah, I don't have anything else to say, shall we?
Banana.
It's getting so tense in here.
Who are you?
I'm Bob.
They are not. Are they seriously doing Bob, Agent of Hydra?
Interesting.
No. Robert Reynolds. Bob Reynolds.
Oh,
Sentry.
Okay.
Remember?
I thought for a second they were fucking around with Bob,
you
Agent of
remember
Hydra.
the teaser? You remember the teaser, right? The Sentry was supposed to originally be played by Steven Yeun, but I don't know what happened there.
Why is he even? Why is
Well,
he
okay.
here?
I mean, Sentry was part of the Dark Avengers, so.
But they shat all over the Dark Avengers possibilities by not having there be a surrogate for every Avenger, or at least most of the. Again, the 99% super soldier bullshit is coming back to bite them in the ass a third time.
And that's actually funny you say that because, I mean, Bob Reynolds technically did take a version of the Super Soldier Serum in the comics.
Right, but you know, Sentry has Sentry. If Sentry were in ours, for example, he would probably be the surrogate for Captain Marvel, if anything.
Well, to be fair, the Super Soldier Serum he took was one that gave him the power of 1,000,000 exploding suns, I believe was what it was called.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So if they were gonna use him, one, he probably should have been set up the fuck already. But because introducing audience to a new character in a team up movie with mostly already established characters is stupid, but fucking hell.
I'd make the argument. Hold on.
They fail at every conceivable turn.
Can I?
Sorry, go ahead.
I would make the argument that it would make more sense if it was the second movie, not the first. Set up a new character.
Yeah, once the team is like they did with Avengers and Age of Ultron, or like they did with Guardians with Mantis and fucking why am
Kraglin?
I blanking? Huh?
Kraglin?
Thank you. Yeah, but like they did with Mantis and Yondu and Kraglin in Guardians 2. Like then it can make some kind of sense. But it would also be helpful if you decide, are you introducing a new team of characters, or are you making a team up movie with already established characters? You can't.
Oh wait, you
can't really do both. Or you could, but it's harder.
I just realized something because it's supposed to be kind of our Avengers movie, right? For Phase 4.
Mm-hmm.
Who's our surrogate for Coulson?
Who is the villainous surrogate for Coulson?
Like right hand to Valentina.
I mean, you literally could do like Bob, Agent of Hydra, if you wanted to. He seems like enough of a fanboyish character that he would be a surrogate for Coulson.
Well, my thing is like,
or I guess Haywood would make sense considering he was the one who programmed White Vision, and he was planning on using him for all sorts of clandestine evil military shit. So
He is also kind of a little bitch, which is the opposite of Coulson.
yeah, so yeah, bring back Haywood from WandaVision and have him be the lapdog to Valentina.
Which would make sense because I think he would have been fired from Sword after.
Well, I mean, as much as it pains me to remember whenever Kat Dennings is a thing, Darcy did say, have fun in prison at the end of WandaVision, and that was basically the last we saw of him. Which, by the way, speaking of loose plot threads, what the fuck ever happened to that guy?
Yeah.
But
anyway, shall we
but
go
banana. Yeah, banana.
And we don't have purpose. You can't escape the past.
So you can either do something about it now or live with it forever.
So what, do we all just punch?
I get what they're doing with the song and stuff, but
Mhm.
I mean the actors are doing a great job, but
Mhm.
I'm more just curious, like, what's the story here? Because I'm not really getting that.
Yeah, why are they?
Coming together.
What task are they coming together in the fucking first place?
Yeah.
Like-
Shall we?
Yeah, banana.
Yeah.
Shoot?
We are the Thunderbolts!
Can't call ourselves that.
Thank God.
The Thunderbolts. It's a cool name.
Hence the asterisks.
Yeah. I'm sorry, but both of the Marvel trailers have just left me with nothing except a tiny bit of contempt because both of these projects seem to be wasting the shit out of resources that would be better spent elsewhere.
To be fair, it just seems like some story is being forced and not naturally developed here.
Yeah, our version makes more sense of why there need to be a Thunderbolts.
Although,
yeah,
sorry, I was gonna say, although it does open the issue of us trying to figure out how to fix the timeline here.
well, I mean, but unfortunately, that ship has already sailed with the current MCU. That's why I basically completely checked out of the MCU until they announce something that I actually have any kind of investment in. Now, in theory, if the MCU were healthier, I would be willing to check out a thing that I wasn't previously interested in. That's what happened with Captain America 1. That movie explained to me why people like Captain America, and therefore Steve became one of my favorite characters in the MCU. And in theory, you could do something like that with this, but most of the sensible ways of using this premise, like the ones we've come up with, they either don't have access to or didn't do. So, because in our version, Thunderbolts is essentially a natural progression of almost all of the MCU shows, minus Loki. And it would actually have the Avengers Phase 1 style slow post-credit build-up type stuff. And everyone who's in our Thunderbolt has a reason to fucking be there, and something they can contribute not just to the team, but also to the writing and the character dynamics. It's almost as though that's the reason you should make a movie, is if you have a decent idea for a movie, and you shouldn't just fill the production schedule slot with the first thing that pops in your head. Moving on.
Sorry, I just wanted to mention, and I forgot I was muted. Well, I started talking, I realized I was muted.
Mm.
I was gonna say, given the idea we have for the Thunderbolts, and a lot of the series, or pretty much all of them, would have to have been rewritten. Not, I wouldn't. I'm not sure. Some of them drastically, some others not so much, but rewrites all around would have to be done.
Right. I think you could mostly leave WandaVision alone. Mostly. Because the only difference between WandaVision as it's written and WandaVision as we would have it is Valentina comes in there, takes possession of Agatha. Somehow Mordo gets captured throughout the course of Multiverse of Madness, probably wearing the anti-magic cuffs, the Sands of Nisanti cuffs.
But I guess the question would be, how would Valentina acquire those? Because I don't think she would have them in her universe.
Well, the Sands of Nisanti are a relic Doctor Strange has access to. Full stop. So
Right,
we could
but
we
how
could even
would
have it. Sorry, go ahead.
this is the question of how would she obtain the sands, though? Because it would be locked in the sanctum, right?
I mean, in theory, if if she's tracking down Mordo, then Wong or whoever else is in charge of the sanctum could give them to her and be like, okay, here, take these. This will help you negate his magic, so you can actually take him in.
I'm not. Either way, so we are going to skip the what if trailer and save that for next week.
Yep.
Just because like it is 12 and I have to get to bed so I can do my birthday.
Yeah, the prediction of this being a shorter episode did not come to pass.
Well, I guess to be fair, we just got on like a whole bunch of side tangents.
Yes, we did. But yeah.
So this is the official trailer for Secret Level, which is a video game anthology series that we covered the teaser trailer for a while back, and it's made from the guys who did Love, Death, and Robots, which is taking video game IPs and making their own little short story episodes which is really cool. I know like we're not the biggest like video game players.
Mushrooms, because Mario.
Oh, okay, that's where you went. Okay.
I
was thinking something else. Okay. But what I was gonna say before we begin, was, well, we're not like the biggest video game players out there, so a lot of these like IPs we're not gonna know too much of. I think it's just really cool because it's kind of a renaissance in a way with like video game. I don't know if you call these adaptations or not.
I think it's sort of what Ready Player One was trying to do, but they didn't quite succeed at.
I've also heard that the book itself wasn't that great either.
I mean, I think the book was better than the movie, though, to be fair.
That's not saying much.
Well, I mean, fair enough, but I think the book was coming from a place of genuine fandom for a lot of these properties, and the movie just felt like a cash grab. Anyway, Mushroom.
Yeah. Alright. Mushrooms.
But that person who did those things, that's still me. Now that's who I fight. Every hour every day.
I'm invested.
I mean, I don't think I'm there yet, but this is at least very atmospheric,
Yeah,
which is nice.
I guess that is what I meant. And it all looks really good, and God, the visuals are on point. Obviously, that doesn't really have to be said, given Love, Death, and Robot creators working on this shit.
Yeah, they're good at this. They are
but
very good at this.
This also makes me sad
Mm-hmm.
because there are a lot of video games, specifically AAA video games out there, that do not look this good
Mm-hmm.
because they are rushed, they are underfunded, they are
Ideologically and institutionally captured.
not disagreeing that's a thing. Obviously, I'm just more saying like the issues I find with a lot of video games. Obviously, is like, and then again, I'm talking purely visuals.
I do think that's a factor, just on the basis that social justice warrior types believe that aesthetics and beauty standards are a harmful social construct that we have to deprogram, and so they'll go out of
Well,
their
that
way
was
to deliberately make things
that's
ugly
not
on
even
purpose.
okay, Don. That's not where I was going, to be fair. So, I was just going with like, fuck, I had something. There's also there's hardly any stylization a lot of times, which has always been a big issue we've talked about with like a lot of things in terms of visual media.
They just again, when you demonize aesthetics, you also wind up demonizing stylization, which ends up making things look ugly.
Which is okay. So I also want to point this out because a lot of these are like effectively photorealistic, right?
Mm-hmm.
They look they look real, but it's stylized in a way that it's not uncanny.
Yeah,
right.
Which is a big part of the problem when you insist on grounded realism TM and cancel out all the stylization. The stylization is supposed to be there for a reason, goddammit.
Yeah. Shall we?
Bennett or mushrooms.
Mushrooms, yeah.
I don't always win.
How much would you risk? How hard would you fight? How many lives would you give?
Yeah, this does. I'm starting to get what he's mean about like Ready Player One.
Mm-hmm.
Because this reminds me a lot of like the first trailer I remember watching of Ready Player One.
Yeah, like I said,
this
seems like Ready Player One done right. I wonder what would have happened if the guys behind Love, Death, and Robots had written Ready Player One to be more in line with the book.
Yeah, this just the wonder and all of it, which video games can give you.
Or pop culture in general.
Yeah. Fuck all those assholes that say video games make you violent.
Or sexist, or racist, or any other immoral thing.
Yeah. Shall we?
Yep.
Banana.
Mushrooms.
No, mushrooms. Fuck.
Just to discover what you're capable of.
Every moment leads to the next.
Okay, so it says it's inspired by, so obviously they're not like direct adaptations, which is fine.
Hmm. I
But
assume they're using the IPs as like templates for short stories or anthologies similar to Guillermo del
Lovecraft Country.
Toro's Cabinet of Curiosities
Yeah, yeah.
or
Which
Black
I'm,
Mirror. Another
which I'm fine with, honestly,
hmm.
just because like they're wonderful storytellers.
It's funny that this is still probably gonna end up being better game adaptations than most of Hollywood has managed so far. Detective Pikachu,
The Sonic
Warcraft,
movies.
Sonic movies. Not with. I mean, there are a lot more good video game adaptations than there were like 10 or 20 years ago, but
Uh-huh.
it's still very much an outlier to get like a Netflix Castlevania instead of a like Rampage or something like that.
And one can make the argument that Rampage is just dumb fun.
I mean, yes, that is fair. And I mean, there's also like non-IP based video game movies like Jumanji 2 and Free Guy.
I don't know
So
if this would count. Sorry.
like Hollywood is slowly but surely getting the hang of video game movies to the point that I almost feel like video game adaptations will be the like heir apparent to comic book adaptations, but
Right.
it's still taking them a while to get their bearings on video game adaptations.
So I'm not sure if it would count, but what about well, it has two names for the movie because I think they changed it, but Edge of Tomorrow or Live Die Repeat.
I'm not sure that would count as even a quasi video game adaptation.
I mean, it has the game mechanic of dying, starting over again, and getting better through each loop.
Right, but that's just a time loop. I don't think they're supposed to be evoking multiple lives in video games type thing. A better analogy for sort of a pseudo video game movie that isn't would be Hardcore Henry, because the first person POV character thing.
And I mean, to be fair, it does actually work. Like the whole story is effectively a video game plot.
Yeah, Hardcore Henry, I think, is about as estranged from video games that a movie can get while still being kind of a video game movie.
The fact that it never got. Sorry.
Sorry, go ahead.
Little tangent here. The fact that that movie never got big enough traction
for a
given
sequel.
Not even that, just like in pop culture in general.
Yeah, Hardcore Henry's kind of awesome.
No, yeah, like it's I would argue legitimately groundbreaking.
Yeah, and Hollywood, if you want to know how to adapt video games, take notes on things like Hardcore Henry, Free Guy, and Jumanji 2, please. Like, or the Sonic movies, or Detective Pikachu, or, you know, on the upper end, Castlevania, because my fucking god, that's genius. Like,
Right.
It's not hard to make good video game movies, guys.
Don't get me started on the Halo show. Anyway.
I had actually successfully forgotten that existed. Oh dear. Fallout was okay right up until the end. Shadow over everything.
I haven't watched it, so I'm gonna remain neutral.
It gets the stylization right, but it doesn't get any of the lore or like writing right, really. But it does.
Argue,
yeah.
For what I've seen of the Ghoul, Walter Goggins' character, just Walter Goggins is always a win. To be fair.
Mm.
I think he was like one of the best parts of the show, right?
I mean, probably. Again, I think the best element was the stylization they got right. But
right.
Then again, I also mostly know Fallout by proxy from a friend of mine, so your mileage may vary.
To be fair, you are not a character guy, so
This is also true. Anyway, mushrooms.
mushrooms.
Every cause and every effect.
Although it's okay, so apparently Concord is going to be one of these episodes.
Oh dear, that's gonna age like unpasteurized milk.
And I've seen a lot of artists do redesigns of the characters.
Yeah,
I even like okay, so I'm not gonna lie, I've been legitimately interested in like looking up the lore of Concord and like seeing if I can write something better.
Mhm.
Because not gonna lie, I was there when Overwatch took off, which I'm sure a lot of us were, obviously.
Mm.
But I played that shit. I played that like I'm a Reinhardt main, Reinhardt till I die. I'm sure it's not surprising that I like that character.
No, it is not.
Shut up.
Uh-huh.
But I am somewhat optimistic given, again, creators of Love, Death, and Robots. They usually make, no matter what.
I mean, they're very good at what they do, and this is right smack in their wheelhouse. So
yeah, so
I can't really see this going wrong. Apart from the Concord episode that now exists, I didn't know that they were going to do that. But yeah, that's gonna drop like a stone. I think. I don't think even these writers can salvage Concord.
again, I think the main issue is the visualization of Concord more than anything.
Mm-hmm.
Just like, God, I've seen those character designs. Dude, like, what the fuck?
Yeah, they basically made a game where they checked all the wrong answers.
Well, no, here's the weird thing. It's also like they went too photorealistic with the characters.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Stylization, motherfuckers, do you speak it? Yeah, I know.
seriously, like, look at all the other hero shooters out there. You know, Overwatch, Team Fortress 2, Apex Legends. So there are a few others. There's another one that's coming out that a lot of people compared Concord to. It's made by the same guys who did Team Fortress 2, Valve. It's called Deadlock. I've mentioned it a few times. Like I think I mentioned it back in October as well. But it's set in a world where like magic and monsters and stuff have become like the norm.
Mm.
And I think it's supposed to be set in like the 1920s.
Ah. Interesting.
Yeah. Anyway, shall we?
We should mushroom.
Yeah, mushroom.
That's impossible. Doesn't matter what I made you for. This is what you were meant for.
That's one thing I also respect about the Love, Death, and Robots guys. Not only is their stuff usually epic as hell, but it also usually has a wholesome vibe to it that I really actually like.
Even that Santa one, like stop motion Santa one.
I don't think I've seen that episode.
Yeah, Santa Claus was a Lovecraftian demon thing that spits out that like vomits out the toys and can smell if you're naughty or nice.
Okay, so they basically put Krampus and Santa in a blender.
I'm not sure. I don't, because a question is asked because they're not sure because they were both good. But they're left up at night because they saw the truth, and the question lingers of what would have happened had they not been good.
Okay, do you remember what episode this is? Like what number it is?
It's been a while, and I don't really have Netflix right now. So
Okay,
you'd have to look for it.
I'm gonna have to go looking for this episode now.
I'm fairly uncertain. I'm uncertain if it was season 1 or season 2. I know it's not in season 3, but yeah. Hopefully that narrows it down for you. Although I remember watching the clip on YouTube and looking through the comments, someone actually proposed a theory that nothing would have happened. It's just like the thing looks like that to teach kids not to judge something by.
I mean, that is also possible, but now I have questions. Anyway,
yeah,
mushrooms.
Conquest awaits.
I can hold back a
I've heard this song so many times, I never know the name of it.
It does sound familiar, but I don't think I've heard it either, or not at least enough to know what the title is. But
no, it's supposed to be like a very inspirational, very like. Yeah, I just can never remember what it's called.
Mushrooms.
Mushrooms.
on my own.
But you're not on your own. All that danger, all those moments, beauty.
Oh, Armored Core.
Hmm.
Do you know what Armored Core is?
I don't really know. What is that?
Mech battle simulator. It's got a lot of lore. It's a heavy lore kind of thing, from what I understand. I've only recently gone into it.
Neat. Anyway, mushrooms.
To be fair, I am only aware of it because I started looking up, like, for the latest game, the OST that's actually, like, really good for some stuff relating to our project.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, yeah. Mushrooms?
Mushrooms.
And even all those painful deaths. It's a new adventure. Just for you.
December 10th. I am curious about the title, though. You know, Secret Level.
Like, you think there's going to be like a cheat code subplot or something?
No, I'm just curious what that implies, given the because it's an anthology series, obviously.
Yeah.
Like, is the Secret Level basically like the stories we're watching? Because like they're based off the video games, but it's entirely different.
So like
thing.
You think the conceit is going to be like there's like DLC or Easter egg type files and stuff?
I don't know. It just got me curious, is all. You know, pondering and the like.
It's got your almonds activated. Anyway.
Yeah.
we should outro because I'm hungry.
And I am tired. Also, it is technically officially my birthday.
Happy birthday.
25 years old. God, do I feel old.
Yeah, and I now feel even older.
Yeah, I can't imagine how you feel, old man.
Shut up. I'm still in my 20s for the next
I don't
6
know.
months or
I
so. Fuck off.
Hey, I'm still seeing like some, and I'm seeing a little gray in that beard of yours.
You are not.
You dying it?
No?
Sure.
I know you're not seeing gray because when my beard grows out too long, it grows red. I don't know why, but yeah, my beard
It-
tends to go a little red at the
I mean,
extremities.
you have Irish. You have an Irish ancestry, right?
No, Scottish. And
Right. I meant Scottish.
just like that, an entire war has now started between Ireland and
Right.
Scotland
No,
again.
I'm sorry. I meant Scottish.
And now the entire nation of Ireland wants to beat you up.
Well, to be fair, both sides have fucking redheads. Come on.
I am not following you down this rabbit hole of offending the Scottish and the Irish simultaneously.
Okay, hey, I'm mostly Hispanic. Okay, what the fuck do I give a shit about that?
I'm just telling you that wars have been started between the Scots and the Irish over less than this.
Alright, but so yeah, I'm really okay. So like bright red or something.
Uh-huh.
Beard growing out like bright red. You said turn red.
No, more like a pale red, almost closer to a blonde.
Oh, like strawberry blonde.
Kind of.
Okay. Anyway, with that, folks, I want to say goodbye, adios, aloha, avideze, sana, peace, cheers, and
Shalom and fuck off so I can get food.
bye.